Wild West. Salesmen can say pretty much anything or make any promise they want without repercussion. But Genesis Gold Group is different. They're a faith-driven Christian precious metals company and believe in educating their customers, not pressuring them for a quick sale. Genesis Gold Group focuses on customer service, not sleazy marketing. Genesis Gold Group is named after the first book of the Bible for a reason. Proper stewardship of wealth is their specialty. Find out why they've earned a 5 out of 5 rating through the Better Business Bureau and how they can help you secure your wealth or retirement through physical precious metals. Call right now to learn more.
800-497-8464. 800-497-8464. 800-497-8464. That's 800-497-8464.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant use disorder. Complex family dynamics, financial strain, and cultural expectations can weigh heavily and become a tipping point for those battling the physical and mental effects of addiction. But the holidays can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. They're a chance to take stock of what we have and are thankful for, to remember what's most important to us, and to consider what we can change. The holidays are a time of hope. So this holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the support and company of family and friends, and create special moments. Get started by finding a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org. Find a proven treatment option that's right for you. Recover you at choosechangeca.org. That's choosechangeca.org.
Sacramento, we mean business.
Every freaking day.
Great sports talk doesn't take a day off.
Early bird gets the worm and all that.
Sacktown, it's the homie
Grant Napear.
Lock in, listen up, and stay right here.
And from Dan Patrick in the morning to Grant Napear on your drive home.
There's nothing like the power of live radio. Nothing.
This is Fox Sports Sacramento. 104.7 FM, 890 AM.
Who's canceled now?
Grant's back. Join the conversation every weekday afternoon beginning at 3 p.m. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back, and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now, Grant Napear.
And a good afternoon. How are you today? Really looking forward to the 3 hours. 4 o'clock, Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com to talk college and the NFL. At 5 o'clock, right after Grant's rant, Sacramento's very own Steve Sachs, great MLB career. You see him on the pre- and post-game shows with the A's. We'll talk the World Series with Saxy. That's coming up at 5 o'clock. But first, we talk about that team that plays right here in Sacramento that is near the very bottom of the Western Conference standings. I'm going to make a couple of points here. And the first thing I'm going to say is 5 games is not enough to fully figure out whether a team is going to be good, bad, or so-so, but it's all that we have to go by. And the first thing I want to talk about is I don't want to hear about Keegan Murray anymore in terms of the Kings not having him. Do I think they miss him? I know they miss him. He's a very good player, and he's their best defensive player. I don't want to hear about Nick Clifford still being out with a hamstring strain. And the reason for that is when the Kings played the Phoenix Suns to open up this season, they didn't have a starter in Jalen Green. When the Kings played the Utah Jazz, they had 2 key players out, including a starter in Isaiah Collier. When the Kings played the LA Lakers, they didn't have LeBron James. They didn't have Luka Doncic. And Gabe Vincent got hurt in the third quarter and did not return with an ankle injury. Then on this road trip, the Kings played Oklahoma City, who was playing on a second night of a back-to-back in their third game in 4 nights. And they didn't have their second and third best players, arguably, in Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams. And then last night, the Kings played the Chicago Bulls, and the Bulls did not have Kobe White, and they didn't have Zach Collins. So can we please stop talking about injuries? The Kings have yet in their first 5 games to play a team at full health. Injuries are everywhere. As a matter of fact, the Atlanta Hawks have an issue with now Trae Young. Fortunately, it's not an ACL, but he is going to have an MRI. Here's what I do know about the Sacramento Kings after watching them for 5 games. And it's the same opinion that I had of the Kings before they played their first game. The pieces of this team do not fit. They're a poorly constructed team. They are not very good offensively. They are not very good defensively. They don't play together as a team. And quite frankly, I think Doug Christie is in over his head as an NBA coach. And I've made those comments before. And I've told you why he's the head coach and why it would be a problem. And to this point, I think all of those things are true. I also said when the Kings acquired Russell Westbrook that it made absolutely 0 sense. And I acknowledge that Westbrook is one of the great players of his generation. And I also have acknowledged that he can still play. It's not like he's chopped liver. But he doesn't make sense on the Sacramento Kings. And here's the other part of that. Why would Russell Westbrook, assuming that the Kings continue to lose a lot more games than they win, want to stay on Sacramento if he could go play somewhere else? Meaning that he's at the end of his career. He's going to be 37 very soon. Why would Russell Westbrook want to be on a Kings team that is not very good, right? Now, I understand at the time he didn't have any other options other than going overseas. But I would think that those options would change if he were to become available. But I'm not speaking for Russ. I'm speaking just on the way I see it. We've also talked a lot about the national perception and the comments that have come from those that cover the NBA on a national level. A couple of weeks ago, I played a soundbite of Zach Lowe on with Bill Simmons on The Ringer, and Zach destroyed the Sacramento Kings. Today, on NBA radio, on Sirius XM, former front office exec Rob Perez doing a show with former NBA player and Bowling Green alum. Yes, I have to give a shout out there for Antonio Daniels. Here's what Rob Perez said about the Sacramento Kings.
The toughest team to watch in the NBA right now is the Sacramento Kings. And it's sad because I've been up there. I've seen what those fans do to support that club. It is a ghost town in downtown Sacramento. But when there's a home game, man, do they show up and show out. They are loud inside of there. They treat it like a playoff game. They are there through thick and thin, 16 plus years of not making the playoffs. It's just hard to see that rewarded with trading away De'Aaron Fox. And now this just mediocrity. Ugh, no worse place to be than 9th place in your conference with no way up. That storm's not so quiet in Sacramento right now.
The comments of Rob Perez on NBA radio, 9th place, referring to last year in the standings. Right now, they are second to the bottom. Only New Orleans is worse, and Phoenix is also 1-4. And of course, the Kings were in the playoffs 3 years ago, but that seems like a distant memory. I mean, there's really no other way to sugarcoat this because I'm not, you know me, I'm not going to. And we can talk about this at 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. You know what I saw last night? I saw a team wearing the home white jerseys that I want the Sacramento Kings to be. I saw a team that passes the ball. I saw a team that plays unselfishly. I saw a team that played spirited basketball. I saw a team that looked like a team. I saw a team that looked like they wanted to be on the floor together. When I watch the Kings, I don't get that same feeling. I see very talented players. I mean, listen, DeMar DeRozan is unbelievably talented. Zach LaVine is unbelievably talented. Sabonis is very, very talented. I mean, the guy's been an all-star 3 times. But they don't fit. They don't fit. Dennis Schroeder's been a disappointment. They don't need Russell Westbrook because it's only going to make it more difficult for the development of the young players. He's not going to, Russell Westbrook's not going to win you enough games where it's really going to make a difference. It's just not. Okay, it's just not. I mean, let's just call it the way it is. And here's something else that I just keep on talking about almost after every game going back to last year. The Kings are so unathletic compared to their competition. They just are. You know, I watch other teams flying through the air and playing above the rim, and then I watch the Kings. It's like they're playing with ankle weights on. You know, and I'm talking about the athleticism. It doesn't jump out at me. When I watch a lot of NBA basketball, I see the athleticism and the way the game is played now. I don't see that on this Kings roster. I just don't. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. And I watch the post-game press conferences, and I'm like, enough already. And I've complimented Doug for how he handles the media. I think he does a really good job with the media. But I think Doug's view of what he wants this Kings team to be is so unrealistic that it's not obtainable. It's not obtainable. It's just not. And Doug's into a lot of these basketball cliches, like last night again, you know, talking about, well, you know, we're not rebounding the ball well enough now, but we will. And we aren't doing this well enough right now, but we will. And we will. You know, I don't think Doug, unless he does in his private moments, is willing to acknowledge the hand of cards that he has been dealt, which, in all fairness to Doug, is not very good. Okay? So I do understand that. But I think he's in over his head. And I want to go back to my opening statement. You can't just talk about 5 games and say, well, this is the way it's going to be for the rest of the year. Because I remember just a few years ago when the Kings opened up the season 0-5, it was, if I can say this, a good 0-5. And when we were doing the shows, we had people saying, this team's going to be good. It's going to click. They're going to start winning. Guess what? Fans aren't saying that now. You know why? Because they see it. They know good basketball and they know bad basketball. Fans are not stupid. Now, sometimes they do walk around with blinders on because they don't want to admit how bad things are. And that's one reason why I think Kings fans and really the media have a tendency to overvalue players. Like the Kings will pick up a player in the middle of the season, like Markelle Fultz last year, and go, oh, wow, the Kings got Markelle Fultz. Well, why do you think Markelle Fultz was available during the middle of the season? Markelle Fultz isn't going to do anything for your basketball team. Why do you think Russell Westbrook was available 1 week before the start of the regular season? Not because he doesn't know how to play. I mean, Markelle Fultz could play, but he wasn't very good. But the point is, it's not like he didn't know how to play the game of basketball. Russ doesn't fit on this team. It doesn't make sense on this team. And you're starting him now, and you're playing him 30 minutes? Like, what is that all about? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So I watched the Kings play, and after watching 5 games, and I'm looking at their upcoming schedule, and correct me if I'm wrong here, and I really mean this, where's the next win going to come from? Now, obviously, you're going to have a night where everyone just is making shots and the team you're playing has an off night. But let's go over the upcoming schedule and help me out here. Where is next win going to come? At Milwaukee on Saturday? Probably not. At Denver Monday night? Probably not. Golden State at home? Really? No. Oklahoma City at home? No. Minnesota at home? Maybe, without Anthony Edwards. Denver at home on the 11th? No. Atlanta at home? Yeah, without Trae Young now, probably. And then you're right back out on the road at Minnesota, at San Antonio, at Oklahoma City, at Memphis, at Denver. They may not win a game on that trip. And I've said this, and I'm going to keep saying this. I made this comment before this season began that I thought the Kings would be out of it and buried by Thanksgiving. And I hope I'm wrong. I honestly hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be wrong because there's nothing that I'm seeing right now, the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, that is jumping out at me. They've lost 4 games. They really should be 0-5. You know, I don't know how Doug the other night was talking about how they could easily be 4-0. They were a hell of a lot closer to being 0-4 than 4-0. And when Doug makes a comment like that, I wonder if he's like seeing what I'm seeing and what so many of us are seeing. They weren't close to being 4-0. I mean, stop it already. So, like, there are so many issues, starting with the owner. And I talked about this at length on our podcast this summer. I talked about this at length after the play-in game with Rhino and Jerry Reynolds, after they got embarrassed at home by the Dallas Mavericks to end their season. And that night, Shams Charania breaking the news about Monty McNair resigning, and already Scott Perry was on the horizon. So you have an ownership, or not an ownership, that's not fair to the minority owners. You have an owner, the managing general partner, who is already going out and looking at a new general manager while your current general manager still has a job. Then you hire a general manager, but you tell them that the coach that was the interim coach, who the owner, for whatever reason, loves, wants to be the coach. And if you want to have the job, he's going to be your coach. So, you know, you get off to a bad start before you even start. Nothing makes sense here. Nothing makes sense. And listen, I would love to eat my words. I would love to be able to come on here on the Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and say, boy, was I wrong about this team. Man, I was wrong after 5 games. I was wrong during the preseason. I was wrong. But, you know, if I'm wrong, so is everyone else. So are the Zach Lowe's of the world. So are the Rob Perez's of the world. So are the national media and everyone that continues to rip this team. Are they all blind? I don't think so. Do they have a grudge against Sacramento? No. Why would Zach Lowe have a grudge against Sacramento? Why would Rob Perez have a grudge against Sacramento? Why would all of these national media? They don't. You know what? They're just looking at what we're looking at. And they're like, what on earth? Really, what on earth? You watch the Kings play and there's no rhyme or reason. None. Yeah, they'll play good for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and you go, wow, okay. And then, like, you know, don't go to the bathroom or don't go get something to eat, because when you come back, you're going to be like, whoa, what happened? What happened? Just like last night in the second quarter, everything's clicking. You're up 12. And in a couple of moments, it's a 2-point game going into intermission. Boom, just like that. Oklahoma City, same thing. And they're good. They're the world champs, but they didn't have Holmgren. They didn't have Williams. They played the night before. They were playing the third game in 4 nights. And they end the game on a 17-4 run while you got out-hustled on every 50-50 ball. Your defense was not good enough. Obviously, there's nobody I've seen that can play SGA, so I'm going to give them a pass there. But I'm not giving them a pass for the way they lost to Phoenix when they were up 20 in the second half. And I'm not giving them a pass the way they lost to the Lakers without LeBron James and without Luka Doncic and without Gabe Vincent, who left in the third quarter. And they're not smart enough to figure out that they need to get the ball out of Austin Reeves' hands. Their switching on defense makes absolutely no sense the way they do it. They don't do it properly so often. I'm looking at folks that on their own are putting video highlights up on the internet of the Kings literally sleeping on defense. There was one that I saw on X last night of a defensive sequence where Russell Westbrook was literally just standing there with his back to the ball, completely oblivious to what was going on. And he could have guarded 3 different individuals on a play and did not move and was just literally like glued to the floor. And, you know, I'm listening to what's coming out of the locker room. And it's the same thing. And I understand they're obligated and required to talk to the media. So I've been there. I get it. But I'm so tired of this talk. Show me, don't tell me. Show me, don't tell me. This does not look like a team to me. And the team that I watched that played with the white jerseys on last night, the Chicago Bulls, that looked like a team to me. That looked like a real basketball team. Let's get the show rolling with Dorian. Dorian, welcome. How are you?
What's up, Grant? What's up, Rhino? I'm not going to, judge this team in the first 5 games, even though from the eye test and as a fan, you don't have to know basketball to look at what you're watching, right? I'm going to give this team 20 games, and then I'll make my assessment. But, there's a lot to unpack here, from the ownership to Coach Doug, which I don't think he should be the coach. I think he's kind of just a puppet. He doesn't even make all the decisions, I feel like. To the veteran leadership that we have on this team, to why, you let Jonas Valanciunas go this offseason and you pay Schroeder, $45 million, and you also sign Russell Westbrook. I mean, Jonas would be a really good asset on this team. And then from the, 23 beam team to, going to 48 wins to 46 wins and then 40 wins, and now it might not even be 40 wins. I mean, you give Sacramento and Sacramento fans like this great showing of De'Aaron Fox and going to the playoffs, and then every season you are constantly regressing. And now the Kings just don't. There's a lack of stability and there's no identity, right? Like the Kings, they're obviously losing. They're 1-4 after 5 games, but they've signed all these veterans and they're not giving the young guys minutes. What I think has to happen, Grant, and you could totally disagree with me, but I think they need to get rid of their contracts and just let these next couple seasons go away and then start again, because there's no way that you can give up Keon Ellis and not play Carter. If you're not going to play Carter, then you need to move him. Like, there needs to be some sort of accountability, and you need to let the young guys play, because there's no way after 5 games that the Kings are going to even make a run at the postseason. Like, for what? What's the point of making a run with all these veterans? Like, if the Kings aren't going to win, and also, like, you can't tank, because if you constantly continue losing, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a number 1 or number 2 draft pick. I mean, look at what happened last year, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the Kings are in a difficult situation. Again, I'm not going to make my assessment after 20 games, but I think, like, I'm in the boat that the owner needs to go, but that's not going to happen. But I think the Kings need to get rid of these long-term contracts with, Sabonis, with Levine, with Debo. Hopefully DeRozan gets traded possibly at the deadline to find him a good home, because I hate to see him brought here in Sacramento. And even with Sabonis' play too, I mean, as a veteran, I feel like it's just frustrating, right? Like, how many playoff series has Levine been to? 1 in his 8, 9, 10-year career? Like, I don't know. I think Sacramento deserves better, and I want to see the young guys play. Like, if the Kings are going to win, stop playing these veterans and let the young guys play, and then we'll see what happens in a couple of years.
Thank you, Dorian. Appreciate it very much. Take care. Hey, Village Financial Group. I've known the broker owner, Spencer Grimmenstein, for 25 years, ever since it began his family-owned business. Are you looking for a home equity line of credit? Buying a home? Selling a home? Well, Spence is not only very, very experienced, he is a financing specialist, and he has access to private money. Give Spence a call or text him at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. And be sure to ask about the investor special. And when you go online to vfgloans.com, you'll find over 9,000 properties available for purchase and everything else they do at Village Financial Group. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Calls and text when we return. The number, 916-779-0929 on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Looking
for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Need new tires? Now through November 30th, save $100 instantly when you buy a set of 4 Bridgestone Weatherpeak tires. Save $70 instantly when you buy a set of 4 eligible Bridgestone tires, or buy a set of 4 eligible Firestone tires and save $60 instantly. Only at Express Tires. Express Tires, 7215 Watt Avenue. Offer valid November 1st through November 30th, 2025. Cannot be combined with other offers. See store for details.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Again, 916-779-0929. This from the 916. So I'm a Bulls fan first, then Kings. And I know because when I watch them play, I watch Bulls players when they are on offense and the Bulls players on D. Only time all year I don't watch the Kings. What I learned is the Kings D is awful. There's zero help, no team D, zero rotations. The on the ball is decent, but the lanes are wider than the Panama Canal. I was screaming, take him all game, and they did. All right, Ryan, so I've given my take, and I'm also getting a sense that my opinion is more in line with the fans based on all of the hundreds and hundreds of comments that we receive on our YouTube post-game shows and on social media. But we're on Fox Sports Sacramento now. We're not on our YouTube show. What's your take?
Well, Doug Christie said last night this team is not ready for that kind of success, meaning doing things on a regular basis, the things that he would like to see them do that equal winning. And I'm quite frankly there with you, Grant. I think this team is gambling way too much. I think that you are going to hit that point sooner rather than later where there can be a little bit of a fracture in the locker room, because when we're seeing this team pick up and seeing them perk up, it's when you see the guys off the bench come onto the floor. You see the younger players get some run. This starting unit now with Russell Westbrook, now that we have 2 games under the belt, 37 minutes played, they're a negative 40 in the plus minus column, Grant. And I guess The younger players, I want to see them with Zach LaVine. I want to see them with Demonis Sabonis because what's going on right now, it doesn't work. And I do know the big talk was bringing in a point guard. Well, now you have two, and they respectfully have shot 24 and 22 three-pointers. Now, Russell has shot it pretty good, which is unnormal for him. But if that's the trend we are seeing, this is regression because these players are not the future.
It makes zero sense when the announcement was made a little more than a week ago. I said it doesn't make sense. I didn't understand the addition of Russell Westbrook. And after watching the 5 games, I even feel more deeper about that. I'm telling you exactly what's going to happen because I like to tell you what's going to happen before it happens. You made a very good point that this locker room will start to fracture because you have a lot of veterans on the team who are very good and are going to be very tired of losing. And they're going to be telling their agents, get me out of here. That talk emanated from the locker room. If you read between the lines after the Dallas loss in the play-in game, remember DeMar DeRozan, and we talked about that at length, right? Remember his post-game demeanor?
Absolutely.
Yes,
I
go
was
ahead.
just going to say he really did not want to say much, and in his exit interview said it was the craziest time or the craziest season of his career, which is insane to say at that point.
This franchise right now, from where I am sitting, does not have structure. They really don't have direction, which I think probably I would put it number one. What's the direction of this team? What is Scott Perry doing? And by that, I mean, he inherited what he inherited, but he went out and signed a 32-year-old point guard, which, for being transparent and on record, if you weren't with me during the summer, I thought was a good signing because the Kings needed a player of that position. But I've been very disappointed with him, especially with some of the decision-making. And I thought last night was better, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, Ryan. Previous to last night, he's been taking way too many shots. But I did not understand the Valanciunas move. They lost Jake LaRavia in about 2 minutes. You saw what he did last night. I think he did very well in the draft with Nick Clifford, so I got to give him a huge pat on the back there. I think Nick can be that guy here in the near future, or not too distant future. And I still don't know about Max Reynaud yet, but like, where's this franchise heading? They're not going anywhere. I mean, they're just not. What are they? What? I guess, Ryan, the biggest question I have is, what's their identity? You know what their identity is? An old team that has pieces that don't fit. To me, that's what their identity is.
Yeah, their identity is not being dangerous. Did you see the Bulls last night? Almost everybody on defense had a foot in the paint. They're like, shoot the three. Shoot it. We're not worried about it. And to the texter's point, instead of trying to stay in front of somebody, the vets are gambling way too much. Doug said it in his postgame. So Scott's vision coming into this year was, we want to start to see a culture come together. He's giving you the 6 principles. By what he did with the draft, we're going to go young. We're going to re-sign Keegan, which we saw towards the end of training camp. They bring Keon Ellis back. But Grant, you're not building any type of culture with the young guys sitting on the bench. You're not developing the future. In fact, you are actually holding the future down. You're holding this program back if this continues through 15, 20, 25 games.
Right, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there in this sense. You owe it to the veterans in the locker room, LaVine, DeRozan, Sabonis, Schroeder, and now Westbrook, to see if you can get on a roll and win some games and be competitive. All right, you can't just, say that after a couple of bad losses, you're just going to go to a youth movement. However, if we turn the calendar to January 1st or before, but I'm going to say January 1st just for an arbitrary date, and this team is in the tank, in other words, near the bottom of the West, then at that point, they had their chance. They had an opportunity, and for whatever reason, it didn't work. Now, and I'm assuming that by then, Keegan Murray's up to full speed and having a good month of December and blah, blah, blah. If you get to the first of the year and we're still talking about these issues, then I agree with you 100%. But right now, you owe it to the fans, even though I think the majority of fans feel the way you do. I think the majority of fans would like to see this team forget about winning games this year. The top 4 players in the draft next year look like they're going to be really, really, really good types of players. And just correct me if I'm wrong here, Ryan, but I think the fans would be fine with a horrible season if you told them that they would definitely get one of the top 4 picks next year. I think they would sign up for that right now today.
I think most of them would as well. And to your point, I'm not suggesting you sit every veteran down, but what I am suggesting is you mix the lineups up. You need to do something to put these veterans in the best position to succeed. You are simply rolling out right now your 4 best players, and you're saying figure it out because there is no real structure to the offense. The spacing's terrible.
It's awful.
You have to find a way to mix or intertwine these ingredients. What I'm saying is try to throw a Keon out there at times with Domas and Zach. Try to throw Devin Carter out there at times with somebody else, and you give him minutes. But Grant, I'm not sure to the tune of like Dennis Schroeder. He's played 158 minutes this year. DeRozan, 182 minutes. Malik Monk has only played 126. And
Again, it makes no sense.
And right below him is Russell Westbrook. So I'm
sense.
saying pump the minutes down a little bit and balance things out.
It makes 0 sense. And I'll tell you what else makes 0 sense. And Ryan, you're a lot more in the analytics than I am. I like to use my eyes for my analytics, but it doesn't always, come up with the same numbers that your real true analytics come up with. When Sabonis, Levine, and DeRozan are on the floor, this team statistically is horrible.
Yes. It would be
like when they're playing, I'm with you. You have to start changing the lineup, and you're 100% correct. You need different combinations than we're seeing now because, and here's the other part. Let's just call it the way it is. You have not had a hard schedule to this point. You've had the easiest, if you want to go by numbers. The first part of this schedule, which they just completed, was the quote unquote easy part of your schedule leading into November. We've talked about that all summer. Now, could the Chicago Bulls be better than people have forecasted? Yes, but that's not the case for Phoenix. That's not the case for Utah, although I think they're a little better than people, but they're, the Lakers are an incomplete because they don't have anybody playing, but they do have Austin Reeves, and right now he's like the MVP of the freaking league.
Yeah, I know.
No, really, what he's doing is unbelievable. But, again, listen, you got a great break against Oklahoma City. You caught them on a back-to-back in the third game in 4 nights with 2 double overtime games to start the season, and you had no Chet Holmgren, who sat out after playing the night before, and you didn't have Jalen Williams. You couldn't have the table set any better.
No.
And you had a lead, and you had the game going your way, and then all of a sudden it just crumbled, all right? You just got through the part of your schedule where at the beginning of the season, we thought the Kings needed to be 3-2 after their first 5 games to get through to the end of November. In other words, that they would need to be 3-2 so they could tread water through all of these losses that are going to be coming up and stay in the hunt. Right now, they are very close to being extinct and I really mean this, in the Western Conference, if you have the bad November that I'm forecasting on the top of a bad beginning in October, you're not coming back in this conference. You're buried and sayonara.
Well, and you're not, like you said, the schedule's been relatively easy. We said you need to win home games and you have to beat the East. You cannot lose to the East. I guess what I'm saying is when I look at the Kings' strengths and who's playing well right now, they're not going enough to those wells. Malik Monk is shooting 52% from behind the 3-point line. Pump it up. You know what I mean?
Good point. Call us at 916-779-0929. Someone said, why isn't Keon starting? I don't know. We would have to get that answer from the head coach, Doug Christie. Only he can answer that. Someone else said that the New York Jets of the NBA, referring to the Kings lose and home game tickets will be cheaper. That is very true. This one from the 916. Does Vivek want the team to be terrible? to move again? No, he doesn't want the team to be terrible to move. So don't think like that, because that couldn't be further from the truth. That's just not accurate. All right, let's get to Mike in Galt. Mike, welcome to the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Grant, how's it going?
What's up, Mike?
Well, it's got a thing. It's on repeat for me. Last year, the Kings went through the whole season. All the fans were saying, we need a big. We need like a true center. Like Frankenstein would be good down there. We know he can box out. We know he can block shots. I just feel like the Kings didn't go out and do their homework. All year last year, we got exposed in the post, in the paint. I know Sabonis, he plays above his height. He's awesome. But to me, I just think like the eye test is he's almost too short down there, and he's just getting out-rebounded everywhere he goes, and it's the same thing. And I'm like, okay, so you had he basically outplayed Sabonis. I don't know why the Kings, whoever's running the show, they should have known this is what we lacked last season. We're going into this season, and that's just how I feel. Like, we have Caldwell down there. He kind of reminds me of old school Dwayne Coswell, which we all know the Kings weren't that good when we had Coswell.
Yeah, Causey.
So
yeah.
I just don't know what's going to go on in the post. We know we can't defend the three. Everybody's just shooting three after three, and the Kings are doing it. And here's another thing I got, and I'll take it off the air. When the Kings played against Westbrook, our defense dared him to shoot open jumpers and threes. What do you think about that as far as opposing teams?
Well, right now he's making his shots, and thank you very much for the call. More than I expected. So, yeah, but that is generally you go under screens with him and you give him the shot. That's normally the game plan when you talk about Russ. All right, let's take a break. 916-779-0929. When we come back, 4 o'clock hour, we'll talk some football with Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. 5 o'clock after Grant's rant, Steve Sachs, as the World Series goes back to Toronto with the Jays, 1 win away from winning it all. This is Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports Traffic as we take our first look at the roadways for this Thursday afternoon. US 50 eastbound at 59th Street off-ramp. You're going to find officials on the scene of a crash there. It is causing some major slowdowns on the eastbound side of US 50, anywhere from I-5 over to there. So give yourself that extra time through it. Also, the Cap City Freeway is starting to see the normal rush hour delays from Marconi Avenue down to Exposition Boulevard. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for Village Financial Group. I have known broker-owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years, ever since he began his family-owned business. Whether it's a home equity line of credit or buying or selling a home, Spencer is a very creative financing specialist with access to private money. Check out Village Financial Group at bfgloans.com or call Spencer at 916-805-4868. Be sure and call for the investor special. And if you go to their website, bfgloans.com, you can find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. Folks, Spencer is awesome. Trust me. Again, I've known the guy since 2000. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Call 916-805-4868.
The statewide special election is November 4th. All voters will receive a ballot in the mail and have several options to return their ballot conveniently, including a postage-paid envelope. You can also vote in person at any vote center and have access to your ballot in an accessible format, as well as receive assistance in multiple languages. Be sure to vote early and avoid the lines. Learn more at elections.saccounty.gov or call toll-free 1-800-762-8019.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant use disorder.
Complex family dynamics, financial strain, and cultural expectations can weigh heavily and become a tipping point for those battling the physical and mental effects of addiction. But the holidays can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. They're a chance to take stock of what we have and are thankful for, to remember what's most important to us, and to consider what we can change. The holidays are a time of hope. So this holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the support and company of family and friends, and create special moments. Get started by finding a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org. Find a proven treatment option that's right for you. Recover you at choosechangeca.org. That's choosechangeca.org.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Talking NBA and the Kings in this first hour. You look at the West, the Pelicans are 0-4. The Kings and the Suns are 1-4. Dallas, Minnesota 2-3. Minnesota, of course, playing without Anthony Edwards. Houston, the Clippers, Utah 2-2. The Lakers and Memphis and Portland 3-2. Keep your eye on the Blazers. And we've been talking about that. The Blazers are going to surprise some people this year. They're one of those teams that when I watch them, I'm like, wow, they're getting very good comments from the opposing coaches after they play Portland. And that always tells you a lot. Portland's an up-and-coming team. Keep your eye on them. And how about the San Antonio Spurs at 4-0? How about that? 4-0. All right, NBA tonight, we keep our eye on the scoreboard. And I think the big game, the Warriors and the Bucks in Milwaukee, of course. The Kings will get the Bucks on Saturday. The Thunder host the Wizards. The Heat and the Spurs, some of the games that are going on in the NBA that we will keep our eye on. Hawks, Pacers, tomorrow, Celtics, Sixers, Raptors, Cavaliers. But we'll keep our eye on the NBA scoreboard and make sure you are up to date on everything that is going on. But again, Kings and Bucks on Saturday with the games tonight. Really, the main game, the Warriors and the Milwaukee Bucks, both teams off to good starts in their respective conferences. Milwaukee at 3-1, Golden State at 4-1. Tell me Jimmy Butler isn't one of the best additions at the trade deadline that you've seen in a long, long time. 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Do you agree with me when I talk about the fans and where they're at right now? And I'm talking about the Kings fans who are among the most loyal fans in the NBA, that they're disgusted. They really are. They're disgusted. And they see the same thing that we see, that this team has no direction, that it doesn't make sense, that it's a poorly constructed roster where the young players are just like, you're going, what is going on? The vets don't seem to want to. Have you talk about the vets? Does Domantas Sabonis look happy to you when you see him on the floor, folks? When you look at the Kings play and you look at Sabonis's body language, does he look happy? And why should he be? I mean, you're seeing Westbrook and Schroeder take more shots than him. And other than maybe last night and some moments in the Oklahoma City game, and I know he missed the first game, and maybe he's not 100%, although he should be now. But, like, does he look the same to you? He doesn't look the same to me. He does not look happy. He really doesn't. And I wouldn't be happy either if I'm him, because they're not using him properly. This offense, there is no rhyme or reason to this offense. There just isn't. And as well as Zach LaVine is playing, like, here's the knock on Zach. Does Zach make your team better? And even Scott Perry, okay, went on national radio before he knew he was going to be the general manager of the Kings and made the same comment about LaVine. We talked a lot about it at length this summer after Scott Perry was announced as the general manager. Even he made the same comment. Like, can you win with Zach LaVine? And again, I'm not like ragging on him. I'm just speaking facts. Like, let me ask it to you this way. Like, if you're playing against the Kings in the fourth quarter, right? Like, does this roster scare you if you're an opponent? Like, is LaVine going to take the team on his back the way some of the other players that we watch on a nightly basis in the NBA? Like, is he going to be able to do what Austin Reeves did the other night? Is he going to do what Anthony Edwards does for Minnesota? Is he going to do what, some of the other top-notch players do? And maybe it's unfair to compare him to Anthony Edwards, but it's not unfair to compare him to Austin Reeves. I'm throwing the question out. Do they strike fear in you? Like, I don't see it. Like, I don't think it's that big of an issue for other teams. And again, these are supremely talented players. But like DeMar DeRozan, is he going to take the team and put him on his back? Is Zach LaVine going to take the team and put him on his back when you absolutely need it? It just seems to me that the Kings don't even use these guys properly at the end of games. It's very frustrating to me. It really is. 916-779-0929. Ryan, here's the other issue. I went over the schedule. Your next 4 games are at Milwaukee, at Denver. You're going to be underdogs in both of those games. You don't match up well. Then you go home and play Golden State and Oklahoma City. So winning a game in the next 4 is not going to be easy. Winning 2 games of the next 4 is going to be like a major, major task. And you're already 1-4.
It's going to be tough. I would say this team, regardless of whether it's Oklahoma City or it is New Orleans or Portland, this team's shown us that it's got to be a 48-minute effort. They're not good enough to play really well for 42, Grant. And maybe you get lucky one night. Maybe somebody goes out. Maybe somebody gets sick. Minnesota, as we've said, will be without Anthony Edwards. They're going to have to find a way to capitalize on an opportunity. And I mean, who knows? Maybe they get a run. Maybe they get a push when Neek returns. Do you think Neek is going to be back before the next homestand?
I would say he will be back during the next homestand. So that doesn't necessarily mean Golden State, but it may be Oklahoma City. It may be, but I believe he will return then during the next homestand. Is that what you asked me?
Yeah. I think it'll be the next homestand as well. I mean, the good side of things for this team is the backside of the schedule. If this team, Grant, could find that gear, mix up the combinations, you still have Zach LaVine playing really good basketball. Doug's going to have some hard talks with some veterans that are getting major minutes right now. Then you might be able to see a different side of this team, but I don't think it's coming before December.
We talked about Rob Perez, and I had a soundbite from him, and I said it was NBA radio on Sirius XM. He's on NBA radio on Sirius XM, but I believe the comment that we played may have been from a podcast with Antonio Daniels.
The Scott Perry. Scott Perry comment.
Scott Perry. Okay. Scott Perry was on a podcast, not on a national, but it was a podcast that got a lot of attention when he made that comment about Zach LaVine.
Yep, it was a bigger podcast, him and BJ Armstrong.
Yeah. That's what it was. Okay. Thank you very much for that. So Rob also put out, Rob Perez, that is, from NBA radio, and he's got over 1 million followers. Kings are the toughest watch in the NBA. Put this out yesterday. All right. The Kings are the toughest watch in the NBA. They're not bad. They're just not good. Clogged toilet offensive spacing because no defense cares about contesting their perimeter shooters. Only Sabonis fights on the glass consistently. How about that? And they just maloof around out there on D. Not really sure how to interpret that other than they're not very good. And what was the theme coming out of training camp? We are going to play defense. We are going to make them feel us. We're going to pick up 94 feet. That was the big thing that we heard about in camp. And I was like, you can't pick up 94 feet with this team because you don't have the personnel to pick up 94 feet with this team unless you have Keon Ellis and you have Devin Carter on the floor. You're not picking up 94 feet. And what happened after the first game, the preseason game? All right. What happened after the first preseason game? Doug was given a press conference and he talked about how the percentage, I can't remember if he said either 15% or 30%.
85% of the time.
Yep. But he said it needed to be at 85% of the time. But he said that after that game, when he was asked, he thought it was only about 15% or 30%, and it needed to get to 85%. I don't see any of that going. Well, I shouldn't say any of it. I don't see that going on the way Doug made it sound like it was going to go on. And again, as Jerry Reynolds has said, you know, the purpose of picking up 94 feet is not to steal the ball. It's just to make them work to get the ball over the timeline where they don't have as much time on the 24-second clock to run their offense. All right. So I'm not seeing that enough. Okay. There are a lot of things that I've heard from Doug Christie leading up to game number 1 that I don't see. We're going to make them feel us. Well, I haven't seen that. There are 2 games. There's the game and there's the fight, and we better win at least one of them every single night. Well, you know, I'm sorry, but there are the Oklahoma City game. They lost the fight and they lost the game, right? Last night, they lost the game and they lost the fight, if you really want to break it up that way. So at some point, like, come on, what are you doing here? I know what you should do if you are looking for your HVAC unit to be retrofitted, and that is DAS Mechanical. Nick Delancey, the owner, family owned and operated since 2018. I had a chance to visit with Nick 2 months ago, and I understand why they have so many 5-star reviews and numerous Best of the Best awards after meeting with him. I've been talking about the $69 winter tune-up, right? Make sure you're good to go this winter through the end of November. Only $69. But, you know, talking about HVAC retrofitting and service specialists, they're experts at that. They really are. The new systems they do, incredible. Rebates up to $6,000, including a federal tax credit of $2,000. But that you have to act on because it's due to go away at the end of the year. Ideal for homeowners, businesses, for commercial maintenance. And if you need a new HVAC unit, hey, I've got great news for you. Financing options, including 0% interest for 18 months. Check it all out and book online at dasmechanical.org. dasmechanical.org. Nick and company will take care of you. Second hour, football talk. Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. Next.
Fox Sports traffic, taking another look at the roadways. I-80 eastbound on the approach to Greenback Lane in North Sacramento. You're going to find officials on the scene of an earlier crash there. Still got that earlier hit and run crash on US 50 right on ramp from Newtown Road. So give yourself a couple of extra minutes to work your way through that entrance ramp, and some heavy rush hour delays starting to exist throughout all of Sacramento. So definitely watch out for that and give yourself that extra time. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. The holidays may feel far away, but the best dates are filling fast. At Bennett's, we make every celebration effortless. Host your holiday parties in our elegant private dining rooms, or let us bring the chef-crafted catering right into your home or office. From family dinners to company parties, our team delivers the flavors, service, and holiday magic your guests will remember. Secure your holiday celebration today with Bennett's at bennettsrestaurants.com.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Decisions determine results. So which path do I want to take? Help people in need or stand on the sidelines watching? Worry about how to pay for school or have my education paid for? Push myself and learn new skills or stay the same? My decision is to serve part-time with the Army National Guard, and my results will be life-changing. What will you decide? Go to NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Aired by the California Broadcasters.
The voice of Sacramento sports is back.
Hear Grant Napear every weekday beginning at 3 right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
We turn the tables and talk some football, both college and the NFL. Chris Landry, check everything out, LandryFootball.com, joins us right here on the afternoon show. Chris, good to talk to you. I guess based on our conversation last week, you were surprised with the Brian Kelly news this week?
Yeah, I was surprised Saturday night as well. It's been quite a week. The thing about it is going into that game, there was no appetite, no chance that was going to happen. It completely, I've never seen anything just turn on that game. I mean, it wasn't just that. It's the fact that it's the combination of how things have not progressed in 4 years, but that was like the final straw. So you never say never, but, going into that, I mean, I couldn't have foreseen any of that happening. I couldn't have foreseen it Saturday night when it took place. It was not, I mean, I couldn't have seen it at halftime, when they basically were kind of in a standstill with them. But then it was complete collapse. And because of that, the optics of it, the involvement of everybody, including the governor, whose name is Landry, so you can imagine how much fun I've had this week. It's been a whirlwind. Sunday morning, I sensed something was going to happen. And what I expected was going to happen is there was going to be a meeting that was going to lead to the sacrificial lamb, as it normally does, with the coordinator, in this case, Joe Sloan. That meeting was held by the athletic director. And basically, the athletic director was called in and said, hold on making coaching changes. We got some things to decide on a bigger level. And it was obviously some key boosters who, listen, key boosters are running things more than ever. And people say, oh, they always have. No. They're running it way more than they used to. You know why? Because if you don't make a change, you don't get the money for the NIL. So you're dead in the water without them. It's like having Grant. It's like having many owners in college football. And if you got a bunch of them, then you got to appease all of them.
Is that bad for college football? Is that bad for college football?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Because, I mean, it's just, if somebody has an emotional, irrational decision, what are you going to do? You can fight. You can get rid of a coach. You can't get rid of a player. What do they do? You've known in your background in the NBA. I mean, do you get rid of the player that's making $100 million?
Yeah.
I mean, they
understand.
recycle coaches in. They recycle coaches in the NBA. I mean, I can't keep track of. I mean, it's Tuesday and Thursday they're different. It's heading towards that way now with some huge buyouts. And look, with that, it's why the big good ones want to have that buyout built in. I think the length of the contracts are the biggest issues that schools need to look at. The money is going to be big, but giving 10 years, who in the heck's going to be coaching for 10 years out of school? Nobody.
Yeah.
Why would you get a 10-year contract? It makes
Great
no
point.
sense, but that's what they're, that's the leverage that they have over these athletic directors and people making decisions for the schools.
I didn't watch the LSU A&M game live. I only watched the highlights, so I didn't get a real feel for what the environment would have been like during that second half massacre. What was it like inside that stadium? It had to be brutal.
Yeah, it how it normally happens when things collapse. So I don't know how many A&M fans were there. Let's just say 5,000 or 8,000. I don't know. Let's just say they with the normal allotment is full 110,000. Let's just say over 100,000 LSU fans. When that started to go downhill, no one eats their own like LSU fans. Now they started to leave the stadium, and the ones that stayed booed. So you had maybe 20,000 LSU fans booing, and the Aggie fans celebrating, singing "The Aggie Who Wore Him." That's what it was like. It was really bad, and it's happened that way before. I've seen it many times. I wasn't there as I do. I monitor all the games, but I'm watching it on TV and seeing it happen and living it right down the street, not far from it, knowing that that's exactly what goes on. And in the boxes were the governor and the board of supervisors and the key boosters watching this, and those people are ticked off just like the fans in the stadium, but they got a whole lot of money to do something. I'm told that's where they started to, have the discussion of, hey, if we got to make it, this is clear. It wasn't that they lost, it's how they quit. Brian is just like attacking his coaches, basically. All of that optics, I don't know that we could have predicted it to happen that way, but it did. And then now you're dealing with a Sunday morning. There's a meeting over at the governor's mansion about if there's a buyout, how are we going to deal with the buyout? And that's where you're dealing with money that's going to be raised. And now they're still dealing with the buyout money and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, that's I've seen it happen before. In fact, I've seen it happen. I was on a staff when one of them happened. So I've been there, done that.
So one of the most coveted jobs in college football is available. Give me a couple of names that you think will be leading candidates.
Grant, we're not there yet. So
okay.
I do work for the university. We hope to have a new president of the university Tuesday. I think it's going to be the guy at McNeese State, but that still needs to be confirmed. And so that's the first step. What is going to happen then is the board of supervisors, who's appointed by the governor, is going to form a search committee because we've been informed that, and I forecasted this was going to be the case. Scott Woodard, who gave Brian Kelly that contract and who also hired Jimbo Fisher at A&M, and he didn't give Jimbo Fisher's last big contract at A&M, but basically he's responsible for a couple of bad contracts that have cost a couple of schools a lot of money. He's not going to be involved in that process. So we've got that little mess of the governor and him are not aligned politically, it's a mess there. So first of all, two things need to be answered. What are you gonna pay, and what's the length of the deal? You're not getting Lane Kiffin to come. Think Lane Kiffin's going to leave a guaranteed deal, or pass over an offer from Florida for 10 years at $13.5 million a year to come for 5 years on a incentive-based deal?
No,
of course not. No, with Dan Lanning. So they have to decide. And I talked with one of the board of supervisors today. I said, in the end, y'all going to have to decide what y'all going to want to do, because even if you go to John Summerall at Tulane, he's making $3.5 a year. Well, we can get him. No, because you know what? He can get Kentucky to pay him probably a 7-year deal at about $10 million a year, because Mark Stoops is on his final legs, I think. He's got a shot at the Auburn job if that falls, a different way. I mean, he could replace Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss if Lane goes somewhere. I mean, my point is they could get Lane Kiffin, but they're going to have to give him a deal. They gave Brian Kelly a 10-year deal at $9.5 million a year and guaranteed 95% of it. To get Lane Kiffin, it'll cost 10-year deal probably at $13.5 million a year. I mean, so what do you want to do? Or can you get him on a shorter deal? So we don't even know what pool that we're looking at. So all these names are really useless until we figure out what they're willing to pay, what they're willing to do, what they're willing to structure, the length. That's going to determine, to me, who's gettable and who's not. We all know some of the top names. It's a top job, but if they are going to take the stance we're not going to pay the big money, then, well, they're not going to see those type of guys. That wish list is going to be futile.
Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. If I had told you before the season began in 2023 that on November 1st, 2025, Indiana and Vanderbilt would be both top 10 teams in college football, your reaction would have been?
No way. And throw in Georgia Tech. How about that?
Yeah, throw them in too. You're right.
Unbelievable. So what does it really mean? What is it really saying? They've hit it well with really good coaches. What do they all have in common? They put some infrastructure in place financially. So here's where the future of college football is going, I do believe, as I'm watching it in real time. It used to be, Grant, if you were an athlete, big-time athlete, you were not going to go to Vanderbilt, certainly not going to go play football in Indiana. You were going to go one of the bigger schools because they're going to compete for championships. Now you're going for money. And if you can get the money and you get a good enough team, then all of a sudden we're finding out that Vanderbilt, they got some work to do this week and the rest of the way. But if they take care of business, they got them, they got Tennessee. I don't know that they can win those two, but if they do, yeah, they're in the playoff mix. Indiana's definitely in the playoff mix. Georgia Tech's got some work to do, of course. They've got Georgia at the end of the year. They've got some work in the ACC still, but they're in the playoff mix. So now what we're seeing is expanded playoffs. And, oh, by the way, the non-traditional football powers can now attract guys because of money, where in the past, you got the leftovers of what they didn't want. And I think that is what's changing things. And again, look at what Kurt Cignetti's making and what Indiana did to keep them away from potentially Penn State. So you can make big money at the school, and you can put an NIL that's going to be competitive. You got a big booster, where it's Vanderbilt and the Ingram family, or it's Mark Cuban with Indiana. You can do things in a non-traditional way. So absolutely not, I would have said, no way that's going to happen at the beginning of the year. Now I'm realizing it can happen. And it's all to the reason of, if you're Lane Kiffin, do you want to leave and go somewhere? Or do you feel you can do it at Ole Miss? I think it's a fair point, which I would have told you 5 years ago. There's no way you stay at Ole Miss. You got to go to Florida. You got to go to LSU. Now it's not quite the same because it's a completely different landscape.
All right, let's talk NFL. Monday night, Arizona is at Dallas. And I wanted to ask you about Kyler Murray because I don't know who the real Kyler Murray is. It was only a few years ago that through the first 10 games of the season, he was a leading candidate for MVP, and then Hopkins got hurt and everything fell apart. He's been injured off and on, and I look at him now, and I'm just like, I don't know who the guy is. When you evaluate him on film, what do you see in Murray?
What I've always seen, he's kind of a gimmicky quarterback because he's so short. He has to take really deep drops. He is a decent passer. He certainly has the superb quickness to make plays, but there are limitations. If you can take certain things away, the first read away, and he runs, I mean, he's going to get banged up. Thought that was going to be the case, and that's what it is. He's going to get hit a lot, and he doesn't have the body to sustain it. I think in order to be really successful in this league, you've got to make plays from the pocket and outside the pocket, both as a passer. And then running the football is, man, when things break down and everything's covered, make a play. He's got some of the make a play ability, but he doesn't have the sustainability. So like guys like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, they make plays. Now, Allen is not playing particularly well right now, but even when they're struggling, they're a threat to make plays all the time. Murray can at times, but there's not the consistency. And quite frankly, I don't think they've done the best job around him, but it's very, very difficult at his height to make the type of plays because you've got there's limitations to what you can do with the passing game. It's got to be rollout or deep step drops because dumping the ball across the middle closer on 3 and 5 step drops are not part of that game because of his inability to see it as quickly. His vision is impaired. So there's a different style that you play with it. No one's really cracked the code of how to get the most out of them. And I think you'd have to have a superb team around him that better than what they have to unleash him a little bit more. I think he's just more of a gimmick type player that I think for stretches can play well, but I think there are limitations.
You know, you talked about Allen not playing well. That's the number one game on the card this week, coming up with Kansas City at Buffalo. You know, I look at the Bills this year, and I can't figure them out at all. You know, they got a gift in week 1 on the Derrick Henry fumble when they had the game really in the palm of their hands with under 4 minutes left. They didn't play well on a Thursday night against Miami, but won. They lose at home to New England. They lose on Monday Night Football at Atlanta. And then they blow out Carolina. But I'm looking at Allen's passing totals the last 2 weeks, 163 and 180 respectively. I don't like the Bills' defense. I'm not a believer in them. What is your take on this franchise, this team?
Yeah, no, the defense has not played well, and they're putting too much on Allen. He's forcing things. He's not comfortable. He's not trusting things, and that's the problem. I mean, you can have the great quarterback. I mean, that's where it starts, no doubt. But they're not doing a very good job around him, and therefore he's stinking it up. And it happens a lot with quarterbacks that can't play within the structure of the offense. They have to create, they have to improvise or feel the need to do so, and it only leads to mistakes. I need to make something happen. I can't trust these guys to be where I want them to be. I can't rely on the protection to hold up. I can't, trust our defense to hold up in key spots. So you just put too much on them. I mean, it's really the key. I mean, the key to winning this league is, you've got to have good balance on the team. Having a great quarterback is pivotal. But look at Kansas City, why they're playing so much better. Well, they got a lot of weapons back. They're getting the ball out quicker. It's helping a little bit of the offensive line, and the offensive line's getting a little bit better. They're running the football better. That slows down the pass rush. Look at that defense. I mean, they just come after you on defense. So guess what? You don't need to be great all the time on offense. You can be a little more patient. You can wait to take chances when they're more favorable opportunities for you, as opposed to got to come out, I got to score all the time, every time, I got to do it right now. That's what leads to mistakes, and that to me is the difference between Buffalo and Kansas City heading into this matchup. And until that changes, the Bills are going to have some problems. In fact, I'll say this, if it doesn't get better, look out for the Patriots winning that division maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. NFC North, Green Bay only 1 loss. They've got that tie against Dallas. When you watch them week in, week out on film, the impact to that team with the addition of Micah Parsons on defense is is incredible. Yes. I mean, what is it about Micah Parsons other than the fact that we know he's really good? But I mean, you have to put two hats on him, sometimes three. What do you see when you watch him on film with this defense compared to what the defense was in Dallas?
He changes your whole protection scheme. And if they move him around, it just completely paralyzes what you do. It forces you to check out of things that you want to do because you can't do anything downfield until you block it up front. And even with two, he can beat guys to the inside, to the outside. And you can line them up in a 3 technique, a 5 technique, a 7 technique. You can play them left or right from a left or right-handed stance. And he is relentless. His ability to dip that shoulder and beat you to the corner as pass protector, and then absolutely get to the quarterback and be disruptive. So he gets there even when he's not making a sack. Even when he doesn't get a pressure or a sack, he is forcing the ball out quicker. That means that the coverage doesn't have to hold up as long. And I'm telling you, he's finishing games for them. Because when you watch him, you don't think, man, this doesn't look like a one-loss team. It's just like, man, this Parsons just saved them here. It saved them. I mean, Detroit looks better. They just look better. They look more consistent, more well-rounded. But, if Green Bay kind of figures it out in some of the other areas, man, this is where he's the type of guy that's a game wrecker. Can't you see it in a game in January where maybe Green Bay's not playing better than the opponent they're playing, but he takes over the game and all of a sudden, they win because maybe you get a lead and he finishes off, or maybe he it's a strip sack or something. He is a difference maker, no question. It doesn't look like that team is great, but he's lifting them up. He's having a tremendous impact. So I think that division is going to be awfully fun, 2-man race between the Detroit and Green Bay down the stretch.
Yeah, final thing. I think the other division that's going to be so much fun to watch is the NFC West. And I don't think enough people are talking about Seattle. You talk about balance. The balance on this team is so good. Defensively, they're outstanding. They can run the ball. Darnold is having another good year. They're 5-2. They win on the road. They don't have any problem. They went into Pittsburgh and won. They're 3-0 on the road. Are you as high on this team as I think they could be?
Yeah, they're really good defensively. They can run the football. Now, their ceiling may not be as high as, say, the Rams. If the Rams are completely healthy, their passing game and some of their experience. But I like Seattle's staying power for the length of the season. So I kind of like their consistency. And I don't mean this as a left-handed compliment. I think they're a great regular season team. Just what you mentioned. They can beat you a number of different ways. They can shorten the game, run the football in just about anybody. They really lock up on you defensively. Now, in the playoffs, yes, depending on the seeding and the matchup, I think they can advance. All the way, yeah, I'm not sure. It'll depend. They'll need a big game. They'll need all of that, plus really big plays from the quarterback. And they're getting that consistent play from the quarterback, but they'll need special play in the playoffs against the best teams, the best defenses. I like them. I do. I probably trust them more than anybody in the West. At least getting, in terms of winning the division, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I like the team, and I agree with you that they're underrated because people are just not quite talking about them enough. And I think it's because they're not flashy. They're just really good week in and week out, it appears.
Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. You can check out all of his work on YouTube as well with many, many videos. Chris, enjoy the football weekend. We'll chat with you next Thursday.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
All right, you too. That's good stuff with Chris Landry. Hey, the NBA season tipping off, and so does DraftKings' newest fantasy game. DraftKings Pick 6 is the easiest way to play for big wins, with every possession giving you a shot at real money. Just take a player and look at the stat. More or less. It's that simple, and it's your way to get in on the action this season. Pick 6 is available in your state. Plus, new DraftKings customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Don't just watch basketball, cash in. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call, ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded is non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. We'll come back to your phone calls. Text messages 916-779-0929. The Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Traffic brought to you by Gabroods Electrical. Homeowners, for any electrical project you need done, trust the good dudes at Gabroods. Locally owned, 5-star service experts, and always transparent prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues with Gabroods. GUBRUDS.com.
Need new tires? Now through November 30th, save $100 instantly when you buy a set of 4 Bridgestone Weatherpeak tires. Save $70 instantly when you buy a set of 4 eligible Bridgestone tires, or buy a set of 4 eligible Firestone tires and save $60 instantly at Expert Tires. Expert Tires, 5810 Auburn Boulevard near Manzanita. Offer valid November 1st through November 30th, 2025. Cannot be combined with other offers. See store for details.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery, embrace the company of family and friends, and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking, the list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This from the 916. Parsons had 1 sack in 5 playoff games. Cowboys 1-4 in those games. Parsons was the leader of the defense and badly blinked in the bright lights. I disagree with you. I think that when you are talking about the best or one of the very best players at getting to the quarterback, you have to completely game plan for him. It changes the way you run your offense. And if you watch film of Micah Parsons, very often you need 2 and sometimes 3 players to block him, which allows other players on the defense to get to the quarterback and force pressures. And the reason why the Dallas Cowboys were 1-4 in those games was mostly because of the quarterback, Dak Prescott, not because of Micah Parsons. I disagree with you. 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. We've got the NFL starting tonight. What a bad game tonight on Thursday Night Football. That's a bad game. Baltimore at Miami. Wow. Not a great way to start off the weekend. And then coming up on Sunday, the Raiders host Jacksonville. And I don't know where the Raiders are going to end up this year other than near the bottom. The Niners are at the Giants. Bears at the Bengals. Good game in terms of, if you like, divisional games with Minnesota at Detroit. But, boy, Minnesota looks like they got real issues now. Carolina at Green Bay. Chargers are in Tennessee. Patriots host the Falcons. Colts are in Pittsburgh. Denver's at Houston. New Orleans is at the Rams. The game of the week, Buffalo at home against Kansas City. Sunday night, Seattle at Washington. And then the Monday night game, Arizona at Dallas. So there you have your schedule for this weekend. And, you know, when you talk about the 49ers and you talk about what they're dealing with as they go to take on the Giants in New York, you still have so many guys that you don't know if they're going to play or not, okay? Like you had Purdy, who was limited today in practice. You have Pearsall, who didn't take part in today's practice. Both questionable. Jake Brendel, their center, did not participate in practice yesterday. I don't know about today. I'm waiting for the update. And these are really key guys. All right. Bryce Huff did not participate at practice yesterday. I'm waiting for confirmation on, what happened today. So, it's going to be an interesting matchup coming up on Sunday for the 49ers. But if you want to call the show, 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Talking a lot about the Kings and what you project them if you kind of think about the schedule upcoming, the West, and the ebb and flow in a season. I mean, things can change in a hurry. I mean, if you go into Milwaukee and, beat the Bucks, all of a sudden you're feeling a lot better about yourself. Ryan, that's the one thing about the schedule. And we've done so many post-game shows, and we have followed this team. Like, for instance, right, when Doug took over and they went on that long winning streak, right? And then everybody was talking about, look at the difference. And then you got towards the end of the season and things went south again. And then you had the play-in game and you got demolished and embarrassed at home against Dallas. There's so much ebb and flow to an NBA season with both good teams and bad teams.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's 82 games. It doesn't go as quick as the NFL season goes, for sure. And the schedule is much different as well. The 3 games in 4 nights, if a team's coming off of a back-to-back, there's so many nuances that we don't think about, but it has been quite the ride for this team right up until this point. I am, though, curious how much of a bump this team gets once they are fully healthy.
Well, the question is, do they remain fully healthy? Because the chances of other players not getting injured would be remote. So that's why you have, so many players on your roster now compared to the way it used to be, and you dress 14. Because look at, almost every game that's played now in the NBA, the first thing I do is look at the injury report. And you saw, Trae Young just got hurt.
Yep.
Fortunately, it's not his ACL, but they're waiting the outcome of an MRI, and he could be out for a period of time. Look at all of the injuries around teams in the NBA. It's just amazing to me. So even when Murray and Clifford first, then Murray, by then you're probably going to have another player that's out of the lineup.
Let's hope not. But
let's hope not. But you got to be realistic about it.
No, very true. Based off of what's happened so far this year, yeah.
Look at the Lakers. Look at Minnesota. They're without Anthony Edwards. Look at Jalen Green. He hasn't played yet for Phoenix. I can go on and on. You can almost pick out, Fred VanVleet out for the year before we even got started. Look at the Miami Heat. Look at their guys that are out, Tyler Hero. And, you can look at almost every roster in the NBA. Look at the Chicago Bulls last night. They're 4-0, and they don't have Kobe White. Think about Kobe White on that team.
Great point. NBA rosters are smaller, but do you think relative-wise there's more injuries in the preseason and in the early season than the NFL?
Yeah, because in the NFL, you don't play your players very much, if at all, in preseason games. And in the NBA, they all play. So, but the basketball's not an injury type of a sport. In other words, you wouldn't hold out a player in an NBA preseason game because you're thinking they're going to get hurt.
Sure.
Whereas in the NFL, that's exactly why you hold out a player in the NFL preseason. A coach doesn't go, well, I'm not going to play you in the preseason game because I'm worried about you getting injured. It's a different animal.
Yep, very good point. And then the ironies. Joe Burrow plays the preseason, then he gets hurt in 2 games in the regular season, 2 or 3 games.
I know, it's crazy. Interesting question. Grant, are the Dodgers done? Where did the offense go? No, they're definitely not done because Yamamoto's pitching tomorrow in Game 6. And we're going to talk more about this with Steve Sachs coming on at 5 o'clock. You are as good as your next day's starting pitcher. So, no, they are not done, because if Yamamoto can, nail down this game, and look at how dominant he's been in the postseason, as they say, anything can happen in a Game 7. And by the way, home field doesn't mean anything in baseball. It really doesn't. It doesn't. It's nice to have the last licks when you need them and when the game goes to extra innings, but home field doesn't mean anything. It means nothing in baseball. Just look at these playoffs. Seattle opened up with 2 wins in Toronto. Toronto goes to Seattle and wins 2 of 3. You look at the Dodgers winning a game, then Toronto wins 2 of 3 in LA. The home field doesn't mean anything.
I disagree,
How could you
because
disagree? I just gave you all the examples of road teams winning.
Okay, but let me throw this at you. Yeah, you gave me the examples of home teams winning, but
road teams winning.
Road teams, excuse me. But with the Dodgers game, that went 18 innings. There was 2 or 3 shots, had it not been late into the night because of the moisture in the air, that those balls were out of the ballpark. In Toronto, if you're playing there, it's a dome. That's different.
Yeah, but okay. But now you're talking about weather as opposed to who won the 2 out of the 3 games, the home team or the road team?
Home or the road team. Yes.
Okay. So I mean, in Seattle, how did the road teams do in that series? Look at all the games that were won. Okay, 5 of the 7 games were won by the road teams in that series.
Okay, so I'm not going off a record. I'm just going off of the argument that okay, but I think baseball is different because the dimensions of each park are different. The nuances of each
very
park
true
are different.
That is very, very true. And a lot of ballparks, I don't know about now compared to in the past, can be tailored to the strengths of your ball club, and you can actually build your team based on the dimensions of your ballpark. I think that is very, very true. You know, being a Yankee fan, the porch in right field was short, and you would always try to stock up with very good left-handed hitters. And if you were a manager going in the Yankee Stadium, you were trying to find left-handed pitchers to start as opposed to right-handed pitchers because you wanted to face more right-handed batters because at Death Valley and the old Yankee Stadium dimensions, 430 to left center. So that is true. But I'm just making a very blanket statement. Home field has not meant anything in the playoffs. I mean, you can talk all you want about what you're saying is 100% accurate. But I'm a bottom line guy, right? You either win or you lose. The road teams have had more success in the playoffs this year than the home teams.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. It's the only sport outside of golf where the field changes, right?
Yeah. Yep. And listen, you are 100% correct. And being a Yankees fan, I just gave you some examples to back up your argument.
Yeah.
And listen, I would much rather be at home for a game 7 than on the road. So, I mean, I'm going to tell you that. I mean, if I'm the Jays, I would much rather be home if it goes 7 games than being on the road. But what generally determines a baseball game is your pitching. That's generally what determines the outcome of the game. And I like the Dodgers tomorrow because I think Yamamoto has basically been unbeatable. And I think the Dodgers got to feel very comfortable with him going up against the Jays in a must-win game.
Have you seen the ticket prices in Toronto right now? Trying to get into that building?
I have not.
Cheapest seats right now are around $1,300, ranging all the way up to what is available about $10,000.
Wow.
It's going to be off the hook.
I told you in 1994, standing outside with my dad for Game 5 with the Rangers up 3-1 against the Canucks in the Stanley Cup Finals. This is 1994 now. Tickets were going for $5,000 a pop. 94. Think about what that would be now. 1994, $5,000 a pop.
So I sought out. That's a lot of money. That's probably what, about $20,000 today.
Yeah, right.
I sought out a video of somebody that went to Game 1 in Toronto. He's influencer or whatever, but he bought the VIP package. But the reason I'm bringing it up is I got to see the outside of Rogers Center. I got to see how the town and the stadium come together. It's pretty amazing. It's exactly as you described.
It's absolutely amazing. Here's an interesting question from the 4015. Which team do you think has the biggest home advantage in all of sports? Meaning which sport? That's clearly basketball. I mean, the statistics prove that out. Home court in basketball means a lot more than home field in football or baseball or hockey. Home ice in hockey really doesn't mean anything. It used to mean everything based on what Ryan is talking about. The ice surfaces were not uniform back in the old buildings. So if you played at the old Boston Garden, the Chicago Stadium, the Spectrum in Philadelphia, it was like playing in a bread box. And if you were playing the Edmonton Oilers with Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier and Yari Curry, they wanted a big sheet of ice. If you were playing in Boston or Chicago or Philly, you could go with a checking philosophy, which they put their teams together that way. And it was very difficult for them to find any open ice and, be as great as they were on a big sheet of ice in Edmonton. Made a big difference. But it's not like that now. All of the ice surfaces are uniform where it never used to be that way.
Interesting. I have a random question for you. Is there an element of being on the road that doesn't get talked about enough? It's sleeping in different beds every city you go to. Does that like affect players, or do they request certain types of hotels that have the same beds?
No, it does. It does affect the players, and I've found more than that. It's the noise. For instance,
okay.
the hotel we stayed at in downtown Portland's very nice, but it's right in the middle of downtown with light rail and the traffic, and it was very loud at early in the morning because you not only heard the traffic from the cars, but you also were always hearing the light rail. I mean, it was very loud. And for that reason, I personally always had trouble sleeping in Portland because of the noise. Certain hotels you stay at in New York, I don't know if you are aware of this because you're not a East Coast guy, you're a West Coast guy, but when you buy a new car in New York, it comes with the horn already on, and there's a separate switch to turn it off. Okay, so like if you're in New York and you're in a hotel, I mean, you have the horns going literally 24 hours a day. So that at times was very challenging to sleep. You make a good point. It does matter. It does matter, and it does make a difference.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, I think New York taxi drivers, you have to have the patience of a saint. And I know they don't display it, but I mean, you're just in traffic 24/7.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, here's a question for you, Rhino, on the text line.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, are you going to the F1 race in Vegas? I sent you some great seat ideas on X for you. I want you to be able to discuss F1 talk with Grant. That's from Lynn. I don't think Rhino's going to Vegas to the F1 race, but I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going to Vegas for F1, Lynn. I'd be going for other reasons. But I respect you going through the effort. I will take the free route, and I will watch Netflix.
All right. Lynn also says that based on his CPI analysis, the $5,000 from 1994 would equal $10,930. And don't forget about the 36 cents in today's dollars.
Okay.
So more than double.
So Lynn, if you've still got your calculator out, what would that $500 Super Bowl ticket that you sold be worth? What year was that?
It was not $500.
You got
it was
$500?
a $75 face value that I sold in the parking lot the night before the game at the RV parking lot for $750. A $75 ticket, I got $750. And the guy that I sold it to someone else because the guy that I sold it to wasn't sitting next to me, somebody else was. But I was making less than $15,000 a year in January of 1987. And for me to get $750 on a $75 ticket, I was like, I thought I had won the lottery.
Were you just like giddy to get to a bank?
I was, well, that was a drink fest that night with Broncos and Giants fans at the RV parking lot of the on the grounds of the Rose Bowl. So I was very guarded with my money. I will tell you that. I was very guarded with my money, and I made sure that it stayed with me at all times. But that was huge for me. Honestly, that was because I had flown to New York from Illinois for the Niners playoff game, and then the following weekend flew back to New York for the championship game against Washington. So I had to pay for those flights and everything else, and I was making really hardly any money at all. So when I got that $750 for $75, I was on cloud nine.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Yeah. Somebody said, plus those fans pulling fire alarms. That doesn't happen very much, although we did have it happen in the hotel I was talking about in Portland. The El Gaucho restaurant was connected to the hotel, and they had a kitchen fire, like a real legitimate kitchen fire at around midnight. And we were playing the next day, and everyone, it was a mandatory evacuation from the hotel where they were banging on doors and they were making sure that you were out of the hotel. And I'll never forget all of us standing out on the street on Broadway, which was the name of the street. They had closed off the traffic, and we're all standing out there, and it's a little bit chilly with the 4 or 5 fire trucks out there and the grease fire in the kitchen at that restaurant. Never forget that.
Napes, you almost made 2 months of salary on that Super Bowl ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Lynn confirmed.
Oh, Absolutely. I sure did. I absolutely did. All right. We will come back and talk more about this. Don't forget, Baseball World Series talk with Saxy. Steve Sachs is coming up at 5 o'clock, right after my rant. 916-779-0929, The Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento. Hey, it's Grant Napear for DAS Mechanical, HVAC retrofit and service specialist. Family owned and operated since 2018, serving Sacramento and Placer counties. And yeah, the weather's going to turn soon, and it's going to start getting chilly. And when you need that heater to work, you don't want to be Mr. or Mrs. Uh-oh. You need to make sure that you're good to go. Well, right now at DAS Mechanical, they have a $69 winter maintenance check. That's right, only $69 through the end of November. Take advantage of that by going to dasmechanical.org. That's D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. You can schedule everything online and make sure you look at their 5-star reviews and their numerous Best of the Best awards. Homeowners, business for commercial maintenance, it's all there for you. DAS Mechanical. That's dasmechanical.org. Take advantage of that $69 special now.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the company of family and friends, and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
Looking for the perfect spot to watch the game and enjoy amazing food and drinks? Look no further than Fieldhouse American Sports Pub. Family owned and operated, Fieldhouse is passionate about creating a fun, welcoming atmosphere for everyone. Spice things up on Tuesdays with Taco Tuesday. Buy any order of our delicious tacos and get a refreshing margarita for just $6. On Wednesday, Fieldhouse features incredible drink specials. Enjoy $5 well drinks and ice cold pints all day long. Fieldhouse was voted the #1 sports bar in Sacramento. Tons of TVs, a mouthwatering menu, and daily specials. It's the perfect sports bar to catch all the action. Visit us today at 1833 Fulton Avenue. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, where the food is fantastic, the drinks are flowing, and the good times never stop. Fieldhouse, bring it to the house.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
The statewide special election is November 4th. All voters will receive a ballot in the mail and have several options to return their ballot conveniently, including a postage-paid envelope. You can also vote in person at any vote center and have access to your ballot in an accessible format, as well as receive assistance in multiple languages. Be sure to vote early and avoid the lines. Learn more at elections.saccounty.gov or call toll-free 1-800-762-8019.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips. Because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
So Lynn also helping me out with the $75 Super Bowl ticket. The date was January 25th, 1987. That is worth today, $75 in 1987, worth today, $2,138.93. Wow. Yeah. Inflation. All right. Don't forget, post-game shows over on our YouTube channel. If you don't like that, after the Kings games, hopefully we can start talking about some wins here in the near future. But as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not really sure when that's going to happen. I mean, it would be an upset to beat Milwaukee. It would be an upset to beat Denver. It would be an upset to beat Golden State. It would be an upset to beat Oklahoma City, your next 4 games. So let's have some fun here. I always say I like to give the Kings a grade after 5 games. I like 5-game increments. I gave the Kings a grade of a D as in dog on the postgame show last night on YouTube. And the reason for that is, and the reason why I didn't give them an F is I'm acknowledging they don't have Murray. They didn't have Sabonis in game 1. And they have been competitive, although last night in the fourth quarter, they weren't competitive enough to be in the game. So I'm giving them a D. Rhino, I can't remember. What was your grade that you gave the Kings for the first 5 games?
Yeah, I couldn't flunk them or put them into the D range. I gave them a satisfactory, so a C minus. So not quite a full satisfactory.
All right. And you gave them a C minus because of?
Because they were in games. I saw what I needed to see from some of the younger players, also losing out on Murray, having to fill holes defensively. I couldn't flunk them because of that. So
Okay.
C minus.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I gave them a D and not an F because of their competitiveness. But 1 and 4 is, no matter how you slice it, is bitterly disappointing when you look at the schedule.
Yeah.
If they had been 1 and 4, starting with Oklahoma City and Milwaukee, and then Golden State and Oklahoma City, and I can't even remember who the next team is. I think it's Minnesota. Then I would have said, yeah, I can't give them a D there because they're playing, among the better teams in the league.
Yeah, fair enough. This next stretch, though, man, oh man, Milwaukee, Denver, Golden State, and OKC.
Yeah. All right. So, and I believe after that, I'll look on the schedule as we talk about this. Right now, okay, if I told you in the next 5 games, Sacramento would go 2 and 3, you would take that in a heartbeat, would you not? By the way, as I look at the schedule here, after the game against Denver, after Oklahoma City, they play Minnesota. So your next 5 games are at Milwaukee, at Denver, Golden State, Oklahoma City, Minnesota. You would take 2 and 3 right now and jump through hoops, would you not?
Oh, no doubt. And I'd expect a phone call from Adam Silver to open an investigation.
And then after the Minnesota game, they have Denver at home. Then the very next night, Atlanta. So it's a back-to-back. Then you're at Minnesota, at San Antonio, at Oklahoma City, at Memphis, at Denver. Good luck.
Yeah, the OKC, Memphis, Denver, that's 3 games in 4 nights right there.
Yep. And you're playing a team, in all likelihood, that's not going to have Trae Young now. I'm just projecting that based on what I'm hearing coming out of Atlanta. I don't know that for sure, but they are very, very happy, obviously, that he does not have a ACL injury. But we'll wait until we find out about the MRI. But yeah, 3 games in 4 nights, which no matter who you're playing, and we've seen that in the past with the Kings. It really doesn't matter whether they're playing a good team or a bad team. There's no rhyme or reason. But certainly without Trae Young, and again, I don't know that for certain. I'm just projecting that he's going to be out based on what they're saying in Atlanta. That is an issue. And by the way, Atlanta does not play the night before. They played 2 nights before against the Clippers. So not only is it 3 and 4, but you have the Atlanta Hawks who are going to be sitting there checking out the game against Denver the night before.
And that's an arena that doesn't have a ton of energy, right?
Which arena?
Atlanta.
Correct, but I'm talking about that's in Sacramento.
Yeah.
But no, Atlanta has zero energy. It's one of the quietest lack of energy of any arena in the building. Yep. All right, so we'll talk about that. What letter grade are you giving the Kings for the first 5 games? I've given them a D. Rhino's giving them a C minus. What is your grade? You can text them to us at 916-779-0929. This from the 916. Yankee Stadium for a New York Giants game. 2 hot dogs and ice cream and a soda, 75 cents. Can Lynn convert that? Yeah, that's what my dad used to give me and my brother. If we didn't bring our lunch we didn't take our lunch into the stadium, that's what we got, 75 cents, and that's what it would cover. It's exactly what we got for 75 cents. 2 dogs, an ice cream, and a soda for 75 cents. Back in the good old days. Yep. Boy, 916 got a good memory there.
It's a really good memory.
Wow. Yeah. And I have a good memory of making sure that I got the most out of my 75 cents back then. We had it all figured out. My dad is the one that really had it figured out more than we did because he knew exactly how much or how little to give us. But we didn't care. We were just grateful to be at the game. So, again, 916-779-0929. You can text the show or call the show. Your grades for the Sacramento Kings through the first 5 games and projecting ahead what the grades will be for the next 5 games. Boy, I hope it's better than a D. I really do. I really hope it's better than a D. I'm looking at the schedule and I'm looking at how they're playing. Why would I think that all of a sudden they're just going to start playing a lot better? Why would I think all of a sudden they're just going to start playing more consistently? Why would I think all of a sudden that they're not going to have the lapses that they've shown in the first 5 games? And, on top of that, they're playing really good teams. Well, so, that factors into it, Rhino.
Doug did say in the postgame, maybe we need to go to hockey-style substitutions, which I am not opposed to whatsoever. I would say Denver, Grant, and I know it's out there, but the Kings have played Denver tough the last 3 years. And I know this team is different. You don't have Jake LaRavia, who was fairly effective on Jokic at the end of the season last year. Maybe you can get some Isaac Jones bumping around with him, and maybe you can make that a race to 100 game. Or maybe the Kings just have an incredible shooting night one night. It's just too much to overcome.
When I hear a comment like that from Doug, it just tells me he doesn't have a grasp of his rotation at all, and that he's searching just like everyone else is. But if you're going to say that, then do it. Okay, if you're going to have a hockey substitution, basically where you take 5 guys off the floor and put 5 on, and you could take 4 off, but generally that's what he means, then do it. All right, back up what you're going to say. If you don't like what you're saying, and he acknowledged that last night, and he said, it's on me, and maybe I need to make a hockey substitution, well, then do it. Then if it happens in Milwaukee, back up what you said. Do it. Show us that you are serious about doing it.
It's a better version of the Kings, actually, when you're doing it. When he's gone 11 deep, I think he went 12 deep one night as well. You're having fresh legs out there all the time, and you're showing different combinations to the opponent. So I'm in favor of him mixing some of those up. I know we talked about that earlier in the show. I mean, what's it going to hurt, Grant? Could things get any worse than they look right now?
No, things cannot get any worse. And, they continue being, brought down on national podcast and radio and things of that nature. Not good. We've got an F. We've got a D. I've got a D. I'm also looking on our Fox Sports Sacramento YouTube page where people are streaming the show. So, there are a lot of bad grades, and I get it. I get it. Ryan gave him a C-. I don't think you can give him better than a C-.
No.
I don't think so. This on the YouTube comment section, the Bulls were able to walk in the paint. The Bulls could do whatever they wanted to. Dribble penetration, the transition offense with the Kings not knowing who to pick up. The Bulls were able to break them down pretty much whenever they wanted to. I said, I have a C-, mainly due to missing Keegan and Domas. Well, they only missed Domas for 1 game. I get other teams have injured players, but I believe missed their players more than those other teams, been competitive until last night. Why would you say that they've missed their players more than other teams? I don't agree with that at all. You don't think that the Lakers would miss Luka Doncic and LeBron James? I'm sorry, I don't agree with you
that
there.
might not be the best example.
Okay, well, I mean, Oklahoma City was without their second and third best player in Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, were they not?
They were. That's a fine example.
They were playing the third game in 4 nights. Chicago, Jerry thought that Kobe White's their very best player. He didn't play last night. Zach Collins didn't play. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more in the middle on that because of how important. Because you know what? If you're missing Keegan or Sabonis, all right. But when you're missing Keegan and Sabonis,
Yeah, but that was just for one game.
I understand that.
And you
they
had a 20-point lead in the second half.
Exactly. That's my point. That's why part of the reason I was giving them a C-, because they were competitive in most of these games. They were in all of these games.
Okay. But Phoenix, the only win that Phoenix has in 5 games is against Sacramento. So they're 1-4. So it's not like they lost to a really good team. If you're just going to go by 5-game record-wise, they lost to a team that also only has 1 win in 4 games. They didn't lose to the Thunder with a 20-point lead without Sabonis and Murray. They lost to a Phoenix Suns team that is their only win in the first 9 days of the season.
But let's be realistic. The Kings are pretty much on par with what Phoenix is and what they're projected to do this year. In fact, some people have Phoenix below the Kings.
Most people do. Most people have Phoenix below the Kings. Yeah. Yep. Definitely interesting. Don't forget, I got Grant's Rant coming up, and then I've got Steve Sachs. We'll talk baseball, the World Series, as they shift to Toronto for Game 6, and if necessary, a Game 7 after Toronto took 2 of 3. I'll ask actually about home field and why road teams have had so much success. So we'll talk with Steve Sachs coming up after Grant's Rant. And as always, your text messages and your phone calls in the final hour of the show at 916-779-0929. 15, 20 minutes away from kickoff to get the new week started in the National Football League with Baltimore at Miami, and the NBA scoreboard with Milwaukee and Golden State. Definitely keep an eye on that game. So 1 hour left right here. The Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic as we take another look at the roadways. Very busy throughout the Sacramento area. That hit and run crash on I-80 eastbound right at Newcastle Road still trying to be wrapped up in Auburn, so give yourself a couple of extra minutes through there. I-80 on-ramp to Richards Boulevard in Woodland. That earlier collision is still trying to be cleaned up by officials as well, and we are still dealing with some heavy rush hour delays. Don't forget US 50 eastbound ramp to 59th Street. That remains closed to all traffic. I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
After the mildest summer in decades, the fall is here. It's time for back to school, football, and wearing sweats around the house. And for homeowners, the end of summer means it's time to call Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort to schedule a heating and air system inspection. With California's insane energy prices, it's critical to make sure your system is running efficiently. Sierra Pacific's heating and air techs will thoroughly inspect and tune up your system so it runs like new. And if you own an older home, Sierra Pacific does complete HVAC system replacements. And if the cost of a new heating and air system for the house seems out of reach, Sierra Pacific offers flexible financing options so that you can start enjoying the benefits of your new heating and air system this winter. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Ready to turn your idle equipment into cash? Purple Wave Auction is your solution. We specialize in no-reserve online auctions, bringing nationwide buyers to your doorstep. From excavators to dozers, we'll market your assets to a vast audience of eager buyers. No hauling required. We photograph and list your equipment where it sits. Experience our transparent and simple process with expert support. Join successful sellers who trust Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com today to learn how easy selling can be.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Lions didn't just lock up a star yesterday. They doubled down on a blueprint that quietly reshaped the NFL. Extending Aiden Hutchinson to a 4-year, $180 million deal, Detroit didn't just reward one of the league's premier edge rushers. They reinforced the culture that's made them one of football's best franchises. Much like the Eagles, the Lions have cracked the modern roster building code. Draft well, develop patiently, and when young stars prove their worth, pay them early. The immediate cap hit might sting, but the long-term payoff is massive. Stability, loyalty, that's what you want. Cap flexibility, a locker room that knows performance gets rewarded. Hutchinson has been the heartbeat of Detroit's defense since day one, and now the franchise's cornerstone is locked up through his prime. Some organizations chase quick fixers, but not Detroit. They prove championship windows aren't found, they're managed. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. It's being called the Golden Bonanza Sweepstakes. Thanks to our friends at Mako, the DP Show, proud to be a part of this, giving listeners a chance to join us in San Francisco for Super Week. That's right, a trip for two, including round-trip coach airfare, 3 nights, hotel stay, ground transportation, and VIP access to see us do our show. If that's not enough, Mako also giving away 5 free paint jobs and 10 Mako and DP Show swag bags as runner-up prizes. It's really simple to enter. You go to danpatrick.com. The best news, you can enter daily for a chance to win. You can also receive a 25% off coupon to use at any Mako shop. Visit any Mako location now for a free estimate and redeem the coupon. Terms and conditions apply. Remember, go to danpatrick.com for official rules. No purchase necessary. Void in Alaska, Hawaii, and where prohibited. Open to contiguous U.S. D.C. residents 18 or over. Ends 11/23/20.
Tell your friends. Grant's back. Grant Napear is back on the Sacramento airwaves right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst. K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
It's time for Grant.
Can we please stop talking about the injuries on the Sacramento Kings? It really is almost pale in comparison to many other teams in the NBA. Go spend a moment and look at the injury list of players in the NBA. Talk about the Lakers, for example. No Luka, no Gabe Vincent, no Maxi Kleber, no LeBron James. I mean, look at the Memphis Grizzlies. Look at their players that are out, including Scottie Pippen Jr., right? And Brandon Clark and Zach Edey out. Look at the Miami Heat. Look at the players that are out. Tyler Hero still out. You know, arguably their best player. Norman Powell out. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. still out with the Milwaukee Bucks. Look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. No Clark, no Anthony Edwards. Look at the Pelicans, right? Kevon Looney out. DeJounte Murray still out until January 2nd. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Stop it with the injuries. That's why you have a full roster, all right? That's why you have so many players on your team. And listen, do I believe that the Kings miss Keegan Murray? Yeah, I think they miss him. Yes, I do. But, you know, why is it different in Sacramento than other teams? Huh? Come on now. Stop it already. Look at the other teams and their injuries. And that's my rant for today. All right, we're trying to get a hold of Saxy, and as soon as we do, we'll get him on. Do you think the Dodgers can win games, or not can, they can. Do you think they'll win game 6? I think they will. I think Yamamoto, based on how well he has pitched, I got to feel that he is going to bounce back. I mean, not he bounce back. I think the team will bounce back. I mean, the Dodgers, when you look at their team, what's the chances of them losing 3 in a row? When you look at that lineup, I'll tell you a guy that really needs to get going is Mookie Betts. He's been terrible. Terrible. So, yeah, I think when you look at the Dodgers with Yamamoto on the hill, then, yeah, I got to believe that they feel pretty good, but they really need to get Mookie Betts going as the Jays win 2 of 3 in L.A. So as soon as I get a return message from Sachs, I'll let Rhino know. We can call him as he's scheduled to come on this final hour of the show. Thursday Night Football, you've got the Ravens and the Dolphins from South Florida. And then we went over the rest of the NFL schedule. College football, Vanderbilt at Texas. Interesting matchup. Vanderbilt ranked 10th in the country, which is absolutely unbelievable to me. It really is. It's incredible to me when you look at the year that Vanderbilt is having. Incredible. So we got a lot of things we can talk about in this final hour. Still waiting for the grades. A lot of D's. D is in dog. Some F's as well. All right. Keep them coming. What is your letter grade for the Kings in the first 5 games? This from the 916 Napes. Are you shocked at how well the Jays pitching is doing? Against this lineup with the Dodgers? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I would use the word shocked. Surprised? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I also wanted to talk to you about Kenny Smith, who longtime TNT has moved over to ESPN. And it's very interesting. He compared Austin Reeves and what he's doing right now, okay, which is he's carrying the LA Lakers. Did you see the game winner last night against Minnesota? It was very interesting what Kenny Smith said. Quote, and now you're in the teeth of the defense. You could have a pass in or shot, and he had both. And he said, no, I am the new Jeremy Lin. I am baby Luca, and I am shooting this shot to win. It's interesting he compared him to Jeremy Lin. Really is. Because Ernie Johnson immediately called out Kenny Smith, their great host, said the Jeremy Lin comp is a little bit of a stretch, unquote. Barkley also agreed. But Smith then, went back and forth with them, said, quote, he's having an unbelievable week, hitting game winners. I'm just comparing that they had great weeks. It's very interesting because I was in New York announcing a game at Madison Square Garden in the middle of Linsanity. And it was amazing to walk through the streets in New York. Everybody was talking about Jeremy Lin. His jersey was everywhere. The Modell Sporting Goods, which is a huge store on 42nd Street, had nothing but Jeremy Lin jerseys. That was also when Carmelo Anthony was on the team, but he was hurt. You couldn't get a Carmelo Anthony. You didn't see it in the window. It was all Jeremy Lin. Think about that. So it's very interesting that Kenny Smith used a comparison to Jeremy Lin. I think it's a pretty good comparison. Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley didn't think so. But I think that Kenny Smith hit it right on the head. I think it's very good. I mean, I'm trying to think, when you think about what Austin Reeves is doing, and again, think about this. Not only are they without Luka and without LeBron, Gabe Vincent got hurt in the game where he went off for 51 against Sacramento. He left in the third quarter. Yes, you have Rui Hachimura. Yes, you have Jake LaRavia and some others. And listen, DeAndre Ayton killed the Kings. He killed them. But it was Austin Reeves. 51 points, right? 51 points. And then the game winner last night against Minnesota. What do you think about that? 916-779-0929. But I thought those comments were very, very, very interesting from Kenny Smith. Now, the game tonight with the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins. Is there a more disappointing team in the National Football League this year than the Baltimore Ravens? And if so, name me the team. Name me the team that is more disappointing than the Baltimore Ravens at 2-5. I remember the opening night game against Buffalo. I'm sure you did as well. We thought it was going to be possibly an AFC championship preview. Remember the build up to that game? And do you remember how incredible that game was? Opening night, Sunday night, right? The Baltimore Ravens and how well they were playing. I mean, they were like, wow. And then what happened? That's right. Henry fumbles the football. And the Bills lose 41-40. Henry rushed for 169 yards in that game. Flowers had numerous receptions for 143 yards. The offense going up and down the field on that poor Buffalo defense. And you figured, okay, they're going to be fine. They bounced back the following week. and they beat Cleveland 41-17. And you're thinking, okay, no problem. They're going to be fine. And then Detroit on a Monday night, another big fumble by Henry. They lose to the Lions 38-30. Henry only rushed for 50 yards. Lamar Jackson threw for 288. Tough loss on Monday night. Then what happened? Lamar Jackson hurt following week. They lose to Kansas City 37-20. Lamar only throws for 147. The Chiefs completely negate Henry. Then the following week against a bad Houston team, they not only lose, they get annihilated. 44-10. Cooper Rush threw for 179. And again, Derrick Henry doing nothing on the ground, 33 yards. Following week, Rams at home. They don't even score a touchdown. 17-3. Rush only throws for 72. Henry runs for 122. But now they're 1-4. And then last week, they beat the Bears 30-16. Most disappointing team in the NFL. Most disappointing team in the NFL. So if you want to talk about that, we can do so. A lot of people commenting on the text line and about last night's loss and about what I referenced with Rhino as the hockey lineup, which, again, I'd like to see. All right. Talked about, he was asked, all right, about the second night of a back-to-back and the third game in 4 nights, but the second night of a back-to-back. And he said, this is Doug now from last night, quote, it will take multiple efforts. You meet force with force. You have to be willing to give it up. In this league, there are no excuses. So just saying the word back-to-back doesn't really mean anything. Oklahoma City was on a back-to-back when we faced them, if I'm not mistaken. This is a no-excuse league. You come, compete at a high level, and get at it. I love that. He's absolutely correct. Then he was asked about going deep to his bench. Quote, it depends. I think that we read the room. We get to a point where we're seeing guys aren't playing at a high level with the energy that is required, then yeah, we're going to have to go deeper in the bench. That will be some of our younger guys to make sure that we're matching the energy, effort, enthusiasm, and the physicality of the game. Then he was talking about, Zach LaVine's situation and forcing a former team as a visiting player, which Douglas did. Quote, it can be a little weird, sometimes emotional. It just depends on, obviously, the connection to the place. Sometimes it's how you left the place. There's a little bit of get back, obviously. It's just how it goes. It's the nature of the sport that we're in and the mindset of competitive athlete. There's an emotional piece to it for sure. All right. Steve Sachs is ready to go. So give him a call, please, and we'll get him on. All right. Let me just say, okay. So we'll call him. We'll get Saxy on. And we'll talk about the World Series and get his take on what we were just discussing with home field and everything else with Steve Sachs. That's coming up here in just a moment. But interesting, his comments from the game and the loss to Chicago. Well, I think Sachs may be having a problem with his phone. He says it keeps on going to voicemail. So we'll try it again. So the World Series, travel day. And again, the Jays 1 win away from another World Series against the Dodgers. All right. We talk about our next guest and a phenomenal career in 82, the NL Rookie of the Year, a 5-time All-Star, 1 World Series with the Dodgers in 91 and 1988. You see him pre and post with the A's games. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Steve Sachs. Steve, Grant Napear, man, it's been a minute. How are you?
Hey, Grant, how you doing, buddy? Sorry about my phone was going to voicemail every time you call. I never heard it, but glad to hook up with you, Grant. Everything's well, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate that, Steve. It's great to have you on. What has surprised you the most about this World Series so far?
Well, I guess I'm really surprised about the resilience of this Toronto team, especially when George Springer was out. They had a real daunting task to come to Los Angeles, where they have a great home record. And, with him out, they were there to come to LA and win 2 out of 3, which a lot of teams don't do with this big team that slugs all the time. But it's actually worked out to be almost a detriment to the Dodgers. The fact that they're faced up with a team now that hits the ball everywhere. They don't strike out. They pitch well. They play good defense. And, the Dodgers are more of a team that just likes to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and they take the strikeouts that come with it. But that's not been the case for Toronto. They've been able to put up runs and defend pretty well.
Steve, you've been in so many big games before, and I was talking with my producer and my wingman about home field advantage, where it doesn't really seem to be that big of a deal. I mean, if you look at this year's playoffs, Toronto lost the first 2 games to Seattle, 1 and 2 of 3 in Seattle. Then Seattle wins Game 6, obviously the Game 7. You look at what this series has been. So what is your thoughts? Personally, as just a fan, as somebody that's never played the game, and I wanted to get your perspective.
Right.
I love rooting for my team when they're on the road in a big game, because I think if you can score in the top of the first, you can put a lot of pressure on the opponent. Your thoughts?
Oh, there's no question. You look at the splits on that, Grant, and it's amazing. The team that scores first, even if it's just one run, whoever scores first by a large margin usually wins the game. And so, I think that's a very important point. In baseball, maybe not so much as it is in like basketball, where the proximity to the fans is much, much closer. In football, I think there's a difference, but in baseball, not as much. There is a difference somewhat if you look at the records of all the teams that are on the road and at home. But it has a tendency now to kind of be come towards the mean a little bit when you talk about the playoffs. It's not a big sample size, and the teams are generally better suited to one another, where they're pretty close in talent. I mean, you're finding the best of the best here in the World Series.
If I'm on the Dodgers, I'm still very confident knowing that I've got a guy that has been basically unbeatable going to the hill tomorrow in Yamamoto. Your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, this guy's a freak. I mean, he comes over here and he gets a contract for $325 million for 10 years. He's certainly lived up to all that and more. He's the guy that can just dominate, especially if he gets on a roll, gets some momentum going. This guy's great. I think it's an important point that you bring out about the pitching, Grant, because the next 2 days, the advantage clearly goes to the Dodgers when you got Yamamoto. And then you got to pitching tomorrow. You got Glass now, plus everybody else. Up against what the other club Toronto brings.
Yeah,
it's the Dodgers have a big advantage as far as the pitching goes.
Saxy, I say Shohei Ohtani. You say what?
I say modern day Babe Ruth. He's done things that nobody else can do. He's a unicorn. I think Shohei is going to probably start tomorrow. I want to correct that. I heard that Shohei is going to start tomorrow from my sources, pitch the first 2 innings, and then they got him for the rest of the game. If he comes in later in the game, they'll lose him.
Okay.
He won't be able to hit. So he'll pitch the first 2 innings and go as the DH after that. And I think the Dodgers got that advantage. But Shohei Ohtani is just ridiculous. I had a chance to meet him for the first time in LA a couple weeks ago. I threw out the first pitch in the NLCS down in LA, and I had a chance to meet him for the first time, Grant. This guy is way bigger than I thought. They had him listed at 6'3", 210. He's 6'5", 240, easy. That's how big this dude is. And he's one of the fastest guys in the league. He can absolutely fly. This guy is a ridiculous talent. And who knows, I think we may have seen a ceiling, maybe not, but God, guy can hit 55 homers a year and steal you 50 bases. It's ridiculous.
Steve, they really got to get Mookie Betts going. I mean, he to me has been the most disappointing guy in the middle of that lineup behind Ohtani. And he, for whatever, when I think of Mookie Betts, I think of clutch. I think of what he's done in his career. He has just not answered the bell in this World Series.
You can talk about Shohei Ohtani. You can talk about what Will Smith brings to the table. You can talk about all those guys. Mookie Betts is the guy that stirs the drink in that lineup. Even you talk about Freddie Freeman, how important he is. I know he had a home run to end it in the 18th inning. Mookie Betts is the guy. And if he's not going, this team is going to struggle. And that's what we're seeing right now. I heard him in an interview this morning. He's lost right now. He is completely lost the plate. I've been there. But you know what? It takes one little measly flare to the outfield, one base hit can turn everything around. And that's what Mookie's looking for right now. He's a ridiculous talent on this team, and they need him desperately.
What happens Steve, when you go through a slump? I mean, are you not seeing the ball as well as you normally do? Is it confidence? You've been there before. So take me to a guy that has had a great career hitting the ball, but all of a sudden is not able to put the ball in play.
Yeah, confidence is pretty fickle when you talk about, hitting a baseball. It's the hardest thing to do in sports. And Grant, this is what I found when I've been into a slump, and I've had my share of them, believe me. You just don't see the ball. You have a tendency to swing at balls and take strikes, and it's just all kind of turned upside down. What's helped me get out of these slumps is to get back to the basics, drain myself of any anxiety I have in my body, hang there like a dish rag, and just barely hold the bat in your hands. You're so loose up there. You got to get to a point where you do that and really wait on the ball. Remember, the longer you wait, the faster you are. And that doesn't seem like it figures out, but it is, because you're just in a reactionary mode when you wait longer. And I think that Mookie does that, hits the ball where it's pitched, because he can hit the ball from line to line. And if he can do that and get back to that point of just making contact and not try to do too much with the ball, take what the pitcher gives him, he can get, if he gets a couple of hits, forget it. He can carry a team for 2 weeks.
Steve, you were part of one of the most memorable moments in World Series history and Dodgers history in '88 with the Kirk Gibson homer off Dennis Eckersley. And the exuberation and the celebration, but it's just one game, and then you got to, get ready and mentally for the next day. And you made a really good point at the beginning. After that 18-inning draining game, what's been most impressive to me, as you said, was the bounce back by Toronto. And I'm just wondering, how difficult do you think that really was for them? Because we were all thinking, gee, the Dodgers, they got all the momentum. The Jays are going to have a tough time answering the bell. But, I mean, it's unbelievable what they've done.
They had a chance. The Dodgers had a chance to absolutely bury that team coming in the next day. And people talk about, well, the Blue Jays are quite a bit younger than the Dodgers. And I thought about that, and I thought, you know what? With the heightened awareness that they're in there with the World Series and all that, that doesn't mean a darn thing right now. They're not that much older than them. You got guys in their early 30s, and the team over there, Toronto's a little bit younger, guys in their 20s. But I don't think that's the reason why. But this team is made up of the construct of this team is absolutely completely antithetical to what we have with the Dodger team. Dodgers are built to slug, hit home runs, take the strikeouts that come with it. This other team, hitting line drives, moving runners over, playing good defense. Situational hitting really matters, and they can slug once in a while too. You saw what Vladimir Guerrero can do, and they can pitch pretty well. So this team is built on an eclectic type of player where they can do everything. And the Dodgers are pretty much, home runs or bust. And that's been the difference, I think, in 3-2.
Steve, if you're the skipper, how are you facing Vladimir Guerrero? I know you're going to pitch to him carefully, but what about putting him on? Your thoughts on that?
Well, I would pitch to him carefully as much as I can. I mean, if I do pitch to him, I hope the bases are empty. Lots of times you see pitchers like Max Scherzer or, Clayton Kershaw in his prime. Sometimes they lead the league in giving up home runs, but they were mostly, home runs with the bases empty. And that never really bothers your win-loss percentage that much, because it won't affect it as much as, you might think with the bases, got runners on there. So I would pitch to him, but I would be extremely careful. I'd pitch him in to get ahead and then get him out by pitching him low and away. And that seems to be a pretty good recipe for him. The problem is, it's easier said than done, because the guy can foul off balls. He can live for another pitch, and you make a mistake and he'll crush it.
Steve Sachs, our guest here on the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento. If you could go back in time and replay one game or replay one at-bat in your career, would you be able to name that game and the at-bat?
If I could go back and just relive one because I enjoyed it so much, or I could do it over again.
Well, I'm really thinking of one that still is driving you crazy for whatever reason, a heartbreaking loss, or whatever, an at-bat that where it's still to this day eats at you, even though you had a great career and have 2 championships and blah blah blah. But is there that one game that you could go replay?
Grant, I could probably tell you 100 at-bats that I wish I could go replay. When people ask me, which pitcher did you like to feast on? I thought none. Well, they're all hard. There's none of these guys are easy to hit. But there were so many times, Grant. I'll just do it in a bucket. If I could, there were times I'd be up there and I'd be struggling a little bit, and I'd hit a excuse me swing and hit a tapper back to the pitcher, and I can remember just berating myself, running down the first base line, running hard, but just cussing myself out and thinking, why don't you just roll the ball back to the pitcher? I mean, there's so many times you wish that you could take at bat back, but it's all a learning process. It's all part of the deal. But there's so many times hitting a baseball, Grant, is so hard to do. It really is. You're successful 3 out of 10. You're going to the Hall of Fame, 30% success rate, but it's really hard to do, to hit a ball, and you just try to stay in that groove as long as you can, where you're just seeing the ball and hitting it. And it's easier said than done to stay in that groove than it sounds. I mean, there's other guys that you feel like you do it all the time, guys like Tony Gwynn or George Brett or Don Mattingly, but those guys were almost immortal. For us other guys, we just tried to battle it every day and tried to scratch and claw and make it happen.
Here's a tidbit for you, a guy that you played with, and to this day, I think he has a record that will never be broken in Major League history, and that's Oral Hershiser. I went to college with Oral Hershiser and Roger McDowell. They were both on the Bowling Green pitching staff, and they still couldn't win. Figure that out, right?
Really?
I would think with those two guys, you'd have a MAC championship.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Boy, I'll tell you what, you went to school with some pretty good pitching right there. Of course, there was a development process when they got into professional baseball, but nonetheless, Grant, I didn't know you went to school with those guys. I know I met Oral fresh off of the Bowling Green campus when he signed with the Dodgers in 1978. I was in Clinton, Iowa, and that's when Oral got off the bus there, and we were teammates from 1979 on. That's how long I've known him.
It's a good thing you never had to hit against him.
I know. I'm glad I didn't have to. That's one that I'm glad I missed, that we were teammates. It's kind of a good thing.
Before I let you go, in all honesty, what he did with the consecutive scoreless inning streak, I mean, I still think that's I don't think you're ever going to see that again, Saxy.
No, I don't either. 59 and 2/3 to eclipse what Don Drysdale had done. And, it was a pleasure to play behind him all those games and when he did that. And Oral was one of those guys that, really relied on two pitches. His great sinker into the right-hander and a really good slider. Sometimes they call it a sweeper. Oral had kind of a mix of those two, but my brother caught him an awful lot. My brother David, he said he'd never seen anybody with a absolute pinpoint control and good movement. Two of the components that you need to be a good pitcher. The other would be, of course, velocity and deception. But Oral Hershiser was absolutely the best when you talk about movement and location. The guy just didn't miss. He was like a genius out there. He was amazing.
Saxy, final thing for you. I grew up in an era of baseball where I wanted to watch every game. I didn't miss a game. I couldn't wait. And now I'm not as into baseball as I used to be. I don't like the way the game is played. I don't like the way starting pitching is managed. I don't like the specialization of the game. There are a lot of things I don't like. What about you? You played in a different era. Now you cover baseball now. And we see you do the A's pre and post, and you're very involved in the game. Are you okay with the way the game is played now?
Not really. I mean, I'm a purist at heart, just like you, Grant. I think the pitchers today could throw 140 or 50 pitches, most of them with no problem at all. Guys used to do that. They used to pitch way over 200 innings. Now, when we get to 100 innings, they want to shut it down. The phony rules that they have, like putting a guy at second base, the softball rule, the Bobby Sox rule, however you want to call it, in the 10th inning, so they can hurry up the game and get out of there. Geez, if you're that worried about going to the game, just watch it on TV or don't go. Right. Those type of things just kind of irk me. Now we're getting the ABS next year, the automatic balls and strikes. For one thing, it's going to call out some of the umpires, because some of these guys, I know most of them try hard. The ones that don't try hard, that's the ones that kind of chap your behind a little bit when they don't try hard, But there's a lot of difference in the game. I remember, turning a double play, those guys were trying to cut you in half. I mean, they would try to cut you in half, literally. And today, you can't touch that guy. You can't touch the catcher. You can't engage these guys and run into them or anything anymore, because, oh my gosh, they might get hurt. Yep. The war of attrition doesn't matter anymore today, Grant. And that was a big part of the game back then. The strongest survived. It was like the law of the jungle, right? Nowadays, no, we can't do that. We might hurt somebody's feelings.
Saxy, great hearing your voice again. And thank you so much for coming on. And hopefully I run into you here in the near future. You take care and have a great weekend, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Grant. Great to hear you again.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. That's Steve Sachs talking about the World Series. Great stuff right here. All right. Hey, speaking about great, that's Village Financial Group. And I have known broker owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years. That's when he began his family-owned business. And if you're looking for a home equity line of credit, maybe you're buying a home or selling a home, Spence is very, very experienced. All right. And he is a financing specialist, and he has access to private money. Give Spence a call, or you can text him at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. And be sure and go online and check out bfgloans.com, and you will find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. When we come back, calls, text messages, 916-779-0929 on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Heavy rush hour delays exist throughout the entire Sacramento area. Working a couple of problems. One is I-5 southbound at Vietnam Veterans Memorial Highway. Everything is off to the right shoulder, but you've got stop-and-go traffic pretty much from County Road 102 down there. Northbound, southbound I-5 from top of the town freeway to US 50, very sluggish. Same thing with Cap City Freeway and US 50 as well. So definitely give yourself lots of extra time as you head out of the office and make your way home. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
The statewide special election is November 4th. All voters will receive a ballot in the mail and have several options to return their ballot conveniently, including a postage-paid envelope. You can also vote in person at any vote center and have access to your ballot in an accessible format, as well as receive assistance in multiple languages. Be sure to vote early and avoid the lines. Learn more at elections.saccounty.gov or call toll-free 1-800-762-8019.
For more than 4 decades, Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort has been trusted by home and business owners for their professional expertise in heating, air conditioning, and solar energy. Your home is your castle, and at Sierra Pacific, we thank you for 40 great years of trusting us to protect your castle. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort, solar, heating, and air. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Need new tires? Now through November 30th, save $100 instantly when you buy a set of 4 Bridgestone WeatherPeak tires. Save $70 instantly when you buy a set of 4 eligible Bridgestone tires, or buy a set of 4 eligible Firestone tires and save $60 instantly at Expert Tires. Expert Tires, 5810 Auburn Boulevard near Manzanita. Offer valid November 1st through November 30th, 2025. Cannot be combined with other offers. See store for details.
Somebody asked for some Wayman Tisdale tunes. Rhino responded. Love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we talk about injuries, right? The Bucks and the Warriors, and guess who's not playing tonight? Giannis Antetokounmpo out. They started Kyle Kuzma. Wow. Guess who the Kings play next? That's right. You know what? How great would it be if you're Sacramento and you're taking on the Milwaukee Bucks without the Greek Freak? See, Rhino, you just never know. Just keep plugging away, and hopefully you get a break here and there and take advantage of that break, right? Take advantage of the break.
It feels like the Kings get these breaks every season.
Game. I know. I know.
The last 2 or 3 seasons, Grant. Incredible. What's he out with?
He was day-to-day. He was questionable leading up to the game. So who knows? I would think if the Bucks lose this game, he'll do everything in his power to play in a game that's very, very winnable coming up on Saturday.
Certainly. Or the Bucks look at it and say, we can give him that extra little bit of rest. We can get by the Kings.
Yeah. I don't care how the Kings win right now. I don't care like what the reason is. They just need to get a win, right?
Yes.
Like a win can really help in so many areas. It just is. It's just like get a W. Like get the bad taste out of your mouth. Figure out a way. And I don't care who it's against. I don't care if the other team is missing 5 starters. Get a W. Just get it done.
I know you say, or you've said in the past, the players don't pay attention to the schedule, like what's coming up in the next 4, 5, 6 games. But do you think that weights on their shoulders, that they know the opportunities in the next 5
Yes.
games are few and far in between?
Yes, I do. Just an update on Adetokunbo. He's got soreness in his left knee. Soreness. I hate when it says soreness. I've always hated that.
So does Philadelphia.
Yeah, no kidding. But tell me he's hurt. Seriously, tell me something other than soreness.
But
I really mean that.
Okay, that's back to the gambling stuff and the injury reporting, where Adam Silver in
You're
his
right.
statement said
You're
we
right.
need to be more accurate with injury reporting.
Okay, so here's why I'm saying that is like to me, soreness is in the past, you would get laughed at if you missed the game because you were sore. All right. And I hate the definition of the word sore in terms of not playing a game. Could you imagine hockey players if they didn't play because they were sore? Could you imagine NFL players not playing if the reason was they are quote unquote sore?
Never.
I just hate the term. You know where I'm coming from when I say that?
Yeah, the old school football coach mentality. You can play hurt, but you can't play injured, right? And what's surprising me about Giannis is this is a fairly big game against Golden State.
It's a very big game. By the way, I was wrong in his injury designation. He was actually listed as probable this afternoon. I thought it was questionable. I'm wrong. And if you want to talk about what this means, he is off to an amazing start in 4 games. Think about this, Rhino. He's averaging 36.3 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists through the first 4 games. So what does that tell me if he was probable and all of a sudden he doesn't play? Probable means you have a 75% chance playing. You know what that told me? He got to the arena, he warmed up, did what he did, and said, you know what? I've got a little swelling, or the trainer said this or that. And they're like, nope. So if he was listed as probable, and again, I'm going to assume that because he was probable, he doesn't have any structural damage, I would think he'd be playing Saturday against Sacramento. That's my guess.
Yeah, and that's where your assumption is going off of injury reporting.
Right.
You know,
and as you said, based on what we just had happen in the past week, the injury reporting now is under a magnifying glass.
I mean, Grant, if you're betting that game and you see Giannis is probable, and now all of a sudden he's not playing, that's a drastic change.
Drastic change. It is a huge change. And I don't know what the betting line was. Could you look that up for me real quick? Because I have no idea what the betting line was. That would clearly make a difference of several points. No, I mean, if you take a guy that is averaging what Giannis Antetokounmpo is averaging this year, it would clearly affect the line of the game. What is you have the line? Were you able to look it up?
I'm getting it right now.
Okay. I mean, that would be major. I mean, we're talking about a guy that scores, that many points a game, who's listed as probable, which means very rarely does a player that's listed as probable on the day of the game, very rarely does that player not play. Almost every single time, a probable on the day of the game means that player is playing. I mean, that's huge news. You're exactly right about that. I didn't even think about the betting aspect of it, but you are 100% correct. Good job by you. I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely correct.
So 10, here we go. The line was at 7.5 in favor of Golden State. Really interesting there. So something changed this line dramatically.
Well, it's interesting. I get this message from Patrick. The announcer on the Bucks telecast said that Giannis went out went in for treatment, came back out again, and decided he couldn't play. So he went out to warm up, like I speculated.
Yep.
Got to the arena, went through warm up, didn't feel right, went in for treatment, tried it again. It's like, nope, it doesn't feel right. I'm not going to play. That's what happened.
Good job by you, by the way. So I'm going to go to the New York Post because this would be the line in advance.
The number one paper in America. Thank you very much.
I like the Post, but I don't like that you get Mushnick articles for free.
I pay for them.
Okay. So, okay. The Warriors were a 3.5-point favorite. That doubled when Giannis was ruled out.
Doubled. Yeah, because I was going to say, if Giannis is playing, there's no way the Warriors would be favored by 7.5.
No, they were 3.5. It doubled immediately. So imagine if you hit that number this morning as a Bucks fan.
Wow. Yeah. Here's another message. I picked the Ravens tonight based on Lamar's availability. Yeah, because Lamar, everyone thought that was a big deal last week, if you remember. He was on Friday. He was not on the injury report. They made a mistake. They made it what they thought was, they said it was a mistake. And all the money that came in thinking that Lamar was going to play and people placed their bets and then he didn't play. And that is actually there's going to be a huge fine coming up to the Baltimore Ravens on that if it has not already been administered.
And even worse than the lines that if you took them or you didn't, it's the perception, Grant.
Yes.
Right? This is just going to be another example of people. We've had them here call saying it's a conspiracy, right? It's just a bad look. You got to get that under control. Got to be more accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to take a timeout. We'll come back. We're going to wrap up this show. 916-779-0929. The Grant Napear Show, Fox Sports, Sacramento.
Heavy rush hour delays exist throughout the entire Sacramento area. Working a couple of problems. One is I-5 southbound at Vietnam Veterans Memorial Highway. Everything is off to the right shoulder, but you've got stop-and-go traffic pretty much from County Road 102 down there. Northbound, southbound I-5 from top of the town freeway to US 50, very sluggish. Same thing with Cap City Freeway and US 50 as well. So definitely give yourself lots of extra time as you head out of the office and make your way home. With Twice an Hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabroods, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe, call locally owned Gabroods for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabroods, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. Start your weekend off right with Bennett's Bubbles and Brunch. Every Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 2, enjoy 2 entrees and a bottle of Prosecco for just $49. Indulge in favorites like our Dungeness crab omelet, country fried steak, or eggs Benedict. Whether you're celebrating, catching up with friends, or just treating yourself, brunch at Bennett's is always the right occasion. Come raise a glass, your table is waiting. Reserve now at bennettsrestaurants.com. That's bennettsrestaurants.com.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Final segment right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. You can still get in on the program, 916-779-0929. Love talking about DAS Mechanical because I love family-owned businesses and meeting their owner, Nick, and their business model. It's easy for me to now understand why they have so many 5-star reviews and numerous Best of the Best awards. I also want to let you know that through the end of November, a $69 winter maintenance. All right. So you can have everything ready to roll for $69. That's right. DASmechanical.org will get you the opportunity to not only look at all of their reviews and their awards, but just book online. It's that simple. Serving Sacramento and Placer counties. And remember, they're also HVAC retrofit and service specialists. They do new systems. And if you need a new system, it's going to cost money, right? These new systems are not cheap. But here's what I love. Right now, you have rebates up to $6,000. You have a federal tax credit available up to $2,000. And if you need financing, they have many options, including 0% interest for 18 months. Go to dasmechanical.org. D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. Book online. And again, look at all of their 5-star reviews and their numerous Best of the Best awards. That's dasmechanical.org. All right, a couple of scores. And a really good game that we haven't talked about is going on in San Antonio. The Heat are 3-1. The Spurs are 4-0. So that is a very interesting East versus West game. The Bucks, without Giannis, have a 39-31 lead over Golden State. The other games, and this is a big game for the Orlando Magic because they're playing at Charlotte, and they're 1-4, and they're one of these teams that are projected to be near the top of the East. And guess what? They're only up 90-85, but the good news for them, there's a minute left. So, keep your eye on the Magic in the end of this game. They desperately need to win off to a bad start at 1-4. So that is your NBA scoreboard. The other game, the Thunder at home, leading the Wizards 40-32. But the big game, two really big games. I mean, everyone's talking about the Warriors and the Bucks, but without Giannis, although the Bucks are playing very well without Giannis, they have a 10-point lead with 2.5 gone by in the second quarter of 41-31. And again, the Heat and the Spurs just underway 4 minutes into quarter number one. That Heat-Spurs game, Rhino, I think is a very interesting matchup. And listen, Eric Spoelstra is a heck of a coach. It doesn't matter who's on the floor. They don't have Tyler Hero, no problem. They just find ways to compete.
Yeah, coming into tonight, the Heat had the best net rating in the NBA through this early season. One thing they're really doing, Grant, is they're pushing the pace in Miami. That's something that Spoelstra and Pat Riley wanted to implement this year. And they've got a lot of the players to do it, like Jaime Jaquez, et cetera. They just go. Heat culture.
Yeah, it's the Pat Riley culture. I mean, everything starts and ends with Pat Riley, all the way down to the training room, the equipment managers. It really doesn't matter. They have one edict in the Miami Heat organization. When you go to work for the Miami Heat, it doesn't matter what your role is. Your role is the same as the head coach in the sense of what the goal is. And the goal is to win. And whether you're a secretary or you're the star player or whether you're the assistant equipment manager, okay, or what have you, if you do the laundry, your goal is to have a winning franchise and to be holding a trophy at the end of the year. Now, there are 29 other teams that want to win, but in Miami, every single individual that walks into that organization understands what the goal is, and it is reinforced with a manual that everyone gets, basically an employee handbook, and that is the goal.
And their owner, Mickey Arison, he lets the basketball people do the basketball things.
How about that? What a concept, huh? You mean that Mickey Arison doesn't tell Pat Riley what to do?
That's unfathomable to me, Grant. That doesn't seem right. Wait, there must be something wrong in that situation.
By the way, the Magic now lead the Hornets by 7 with 7 seconds left. So they are going to win their second game of the year.
You know, people
smart owners, well, they're all smart because some are smarter than others. But the real smart owners, or let me rephrase the word smart. Let me retract that. The good owners and the great owners hire the right people, and they let the right people do their job. I had Kevin Nagel on, the owner of the Sacramento Republic. Is he involved? Yeah, he is involved. But he's not a soccer expert. He doesn't try to be a soccer expert. And he hires the best possible people available and lets them do their job. Does he want to know what's going on? Yes, he wants to know what's going on. Is he in the wins and losses? Yes. Is he? Yeah, all of that. But, he doesn't tell the coach how to coach. He doesn't tell the general manager how to general manage.
Mickey Arison's worst hire was hiring the artist to do the Dwayne Wade statue.
Oh, my gosh. How embarrassing is that? I mean, if you're Dwayne Wade, and he handled it so well, but how bad is that, huh?
I mean, it looks like Lawrence Fishburne more than it looks like Dwayne Wade.
I mean, unbelievable. By the way, I need to correct myself. I just made a mistake. I thought that was the end of the game. It's the end of the third quarter. So my bad. The Magic are not going to go on and win. They could lose. It's 92-85. I had misread that. I thought it was the end of the game. It's the end of the third quarter. All right. So I wanted to correct myself. Bucks lead the Warriors 47-37. Wizards only 6 down to the Thunder in the second quarter, and the Heat and the Spurs separated by 2 points halfway through quarter number 1. So now the Giannis Antetokounmpo watch is on for Saturday. And I'll tell you what's going to be interesting. The injury designation tomorrow that have to be put out by the Bucks. It will be interesting to see whether he is probable, questionable, or doubtful for Saturday.
Couldn't they just do game time decision if they don't want to put
They
any
still
of
have
that?
to designate the status of his probability, questionable, or doubtful, don't they? Don't they have to or out? They have 4 options. Don't they have to do that?
You know what? You're right. And then once you get to game day, it can go to GTT.
Correct. But the day before, you have to have a injury designation.
Spot on.
Yep. Be interesting. Now, because again, Giannis was probable coming into the game, and we told you, came in just like I thought, warmed up, like, this doesn't feel right. I got to go get treatment. Got treatment, came back out, and was like, nope, I better not play tonight.
Interested to know if they did a shoot around today.
Yeah, they did a shoot around. Yeah. Yep. And the reason why I'm pretty confident in saying that is they didn't play last night. When teams don't play the night before, they most always have a shoot around unless it's like late in the season.
Yeah.
If you did play the night before, then you probably would not have a shoot around. But since they didn't play last night, I would almost guarantee you that they had a shoot around.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it was strenuous. Maybe
no,
got
they
some
don't. There's
shots
no
up.
strenuous shoot around.
Yeah. You're
exactly.
you're walking through.
But again, he felt fine probably because he's listed as probable, and then he just didn't feel right when he warmed up. And listen, I wouldn't be messing around with Antetokounmpo either. He's a franchise.
Of course not. And he's also in one of those years. There's all this talk. Is he going to want out?
Yeah.
Protect your asset.
It said Mickey Arison is busy working on his cruise line. Boy, is he ever. Boy, is he ever. It is so cool to be in Miami and seeing all the cruise ships just come and go every day of the week. Saturday and Sundays are the busiest. And I love going out to Smith and Walensky's on a Sunday in particular. And the outside part of the restaurant is literally right on the water where the cruise ships go by. And when the cruise ships go by, it is absolutely unbelievable because, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, you could actually talk to somebody on the ship going by and you can hear all the music playing and it is such, and the ships now are so gigantic.
They're massive.
Oh my gosh. And it like Royal Caribbean's got the biggest ships in the world now. And when they come out of port in Miami, and you're sitting there and you literally, I'm not exaggerating now, you could definitely hit the cruise ship with a rock if you wanted to throw a rock at it. That's how close it is.
Great.
It's quite a sight.
Some of these cruise ships are renting out rooms while they're docked and people go just to stay on them because there's so much to do. It's a city.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Ravens have a 14-3 lead in Miami. Looking forward to wrapping up the week tomorrow at 3 o'clock, a big college and NFL weekend. We'll find out more on Giannis and the Bucks as the Kings move on their road trip Saturday against Milwaukee. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks for taking time to join me right here, the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento. Bye-bye now.
The NBA season tips off, and so does DraftKings' newest fantasy game. DraftKings Pick 6 is the easiest way to play for big wins, with every possession giving you a shot at real money. Here's how to play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more stats and unlock the upside every game brings. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. Pick 6 is available in your state. Plus, new DraftKings customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Don't just watch basketball. Cash in. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Business owners, Grant Napier's back, bringing Fox Sports Radio to the forefront of sports talk in Sacramento. That means more listeners, more potential customers who could be spending